Strange Ride is brought to you commercial-free through the generous support of our patrons. Visit strangeride.com and click on Donate to keep the history of the weird on the digital airwaves.
The Disney theme parks have been known to push the boundaries of immersive entertainment since they were first created. In March 2022, they would push that boundary even further. Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, or it might better be known as the Star Wars Hotel, sought to take immersive entertainment to a new level to truly get to live in the Star Wars galaxy for a few days. For many, it sounded like a dream, a place where fans could live out their ultimate fantasies of flying through space, getting in ship battles, training to be a Jedi, and even fighting for the fate of the galaxy. But when Disney finally announced the price tag that accompanied this experience, fans realized that they might not be able to do this experience at all. Soon enough, the price tag seemed to be the only thing anyone associated with this hotel, and although fan reception was fantastic, Disney announced that not even 2 years after its opening, the Galactic Star Cruiser would be closing. Today, we will be getting into what the Galactic Star Cruiser even was, why it failed, and what it was like to be a guest on the Halcyon. Welcome to Strange Ride, where I tell the smartest man I know the weirdest things I know. My name is Savannah Barrett, and I will be your guide today, but you're not the only ones going on this ride. I have with me here Maddie Wagner.
Hello.
And Julian Dobbs.
Hello.
And then, of course, we have the smartest man I know, Rob C. Thompson of Occult Confessions fame.
I just can't stop thinking about that price tag.
Yeah, and you don't even know what the price really is yet,
No,
do
I'm
you?
just thinking about various prices of different things now. I feel like I'm on The Price is Right. Vacation edition.
That's what I should do. Oh my God, I'm going to make you guess like the price is right. And don't say
game.
a penny.
Does it involve, like, you're going to make me guess what lunch costs at the Halcyon?
Sure. I actually broke down like the cost of the hotel and stuff like that. Well, hotel.
25 ducats.
Schmeckles. Gold. What is the
Shekels.
It's called credits.
Credits.
I personally think, and this is going to be a hot take, my favorite Star Wars movie is The Force Awakens.
Oh, wow.
Okay. That movie is just so special to me because it was my first Star Wars movie that I saw in a movie theater, and I just loved everything about it. I just thought it was fun. I loved all the new characters. I loved the way all the old characters came back. So I was ready for the sequel trilogy when it came out. And I do want to get out of the way that the sequel trilogy has a lot of issues with it, but I don't think it's like an affront to God that these movies were made.
To God, George Lucas? An affront to Lucasdom?
But some people get very, very upset if you say that you like these movies, and I just don't think that they're that bad. But if you don't like them, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you are allowed to dislike or like anything that you want. I'm just not going to attack you for liking them or disliking them. And I guess is what I'm trying to ask for here, because I'm going to be talking about the sequel trilogy a lot today, and I don't want people being like, well, fuck you for liking that.
I do think it's a weird approach to fandom. Like, if you really like something, don't you always like more of it? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to think it's the best.
I think it was more of like, people are very gatekeepy about Star Wars, and it felt like a personal attack on them.
That it wasn't what they wanted it to be?
Yeah.
Well, but it isn't ever really going to be what you want it to be unless they read your personal fan fiction and put that in a movie.
Yeah, right.
Like, we're all going to have very different takes on it, but it shouldn't hurt your feelings if you love it, if they make more of it. I don't know. I just feel like fandom has shifted a little. There was a time where you'd just be like, yeah, cool, there's more of this thing. And I like it.
I think also after Disney owned it, I think a lot of people didn't want to follow it because of that, but that also might be a hot take. So.
No, I don't think so. A lot of people were really upset when Disney bought Star Wars. And honestly, this whole like topic about like the hatred around the sequel trilogy could be its own episode, because I feel like there's a lot that goes into it. But I just wanted to put that out there. So if you're one of those people that are like, you start seeing red when the sequel trilogy is mentioned, maybe don't listen to this episode.
We have a great episode on Five Nights at Freddy's, and
Just go back and
do Epcot maybe.
Yeah. So, would you like to talk about Patreon?
Yeah, we got one. So you head on over to Patreon, and Savannah's going to start creating some bonus content over there specific to Strange Ride. We don't have any up just yet, but we do have a variety of bonus content from the Alchemical Actors. We produce the Occult Confessions podcast and the Dark Bowl podcast, and the Patreon is for all of that. So if you like hearing us just, talk, there's more of that.
Rob and I are going to review Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Luke and I are going to review Baldur's Gate 3 because it has taken over my entire life.
Some gamer shit mostly is what we're doing
yeah,
on the Patreon.
Well, I mean, at the moment, Baldur's Gate 3 has really consumed both Luke and I's life. So, Luke was like, I have to go back to work and I can't play Baldur's Gate as much anymore. And then last night, I didn't even get to play Baldur's Gate because I was working on this.
It's a tragedy.
It's a hard life.
It really is.
Your nerddoms are tearing you in different directions.
Yeah, I know. But then I was so happy talking about the Star Wars Star Cruiser, and but anyway, whatever.
We're going to have fun.
We
I know
gonna
we're
have
not
fun.
Baldur's Gate, but we will still have fun.
Yeah, that's true. Just not as much fun. I'm just teasing. Anyway, so I don't know if you guys listen to Occult Confessions, know anything about Occult Confessions, but we have a pledge that we do, and so I've created a pledge for this show, and so the pledge goes, I solemnly commit myself to keep my hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times while on this strange ride. And now, can you guys all say this?
I solemnly
solemnly
commit
commit
to keep
to
my hands,
hands,
arms, feet, and legs inside the
vehicle
vehicle at all times
While on this strange ride. Yep, good. You guys did that better than most of the other
Yeah,
people.
that's pretty good. It wasn't too bad. Well, they memorize lines here, so it's all
Oh, that's good.
It's true.
So I do want to come right out of the gate and say that I'm not here today to make fun of this hotel. I've seen so many people dancing on its grave, and I really want to try to look at this thing as objectively as I can. However, I know that I am not immune to biases, and I want to also say that I did go to this hotel, I experienced it, and honestly, they made this experience for me. It's a Star Wars interactive immersive theater experience. Like, it literally checks every single box for me, and I've dreamed about something like this since I was a child. So so I'm going to try my best to critique it objectively, but I know there will be points where you guys will have to check me and be like, Savannah, you're getting a little too excited, and maybe that wasn't as cool as you thought it was.
good. Remember, it's gone.
No. But yeah, so if you clicked on this also in the intentions of hearing somebody shit all over this experience, you're also in the wrong spot.
But now you're 10 minutes in, so you might as well stay.
Yeah, maybe I'll change your mind about this experience in time for you to not be able to experience it. So,
But you can experience our off-brand Star Thing hotel. We got to come up with a name. Our off-brand
we can't start it with the word star because
Space
I feel like this,
Wars
yes.
hotel.
That might be better.
Coming soon to a Chesapeake Bay near you.
Or it's just Spaceballs.
Oh, well, no, that's copyrighted.
Oh, darn.
I'll be honest, though, it's hard to find people talking positively about this experience. You kind of have to go out of your way to find people talking positively about it, which is part of the reason why I wanted to, because I feel like, I will talk positively about it, but I will also have negative things to say about it, too, because I'm not going to sit here and also tell you that it was a perfect experience, because it most definitely was not, but people are giving it way too much shit. Definitely 100%.
But from the outside, it's
from
not
the outside, it seems as if most people who are the ones trashing it did not actually go experience it.
Gotcha.
It seems as if most of the people that did experience it loved this thing. From what I've been seeing. And now that could also be biasness because I'm in Facebook groups about it and stuff like that. But from the most part, it feels like every person I've seen who went there was like, this thing is amazing and I want to go back. And also, just to point out too, I find this whole situation super interesting, just outside of it being a Star Wars and immersive theater thing, because there are so many different aspects to what went wrong with this experience that it's kind of difficult to find a good place to start. But I think the number one thing that went wrong with this is this. You cannot easily explain what this thing is. It's a hotel, but it's not just a hotel. It's an immersive experience, but it's also a cruise and a Disney vacation, and it's Star Wars.
How is it a
So
cruise?
the marketing,
Huh?
the marketing on it had to
Yes.
be
Yeah.
insane.
So
The thing doesn't move, right? It's a building.
it is,
Okay.
but it is meant to be like a cruise in the sense that you are staying on a cruise ship in
A
the
space-
Star Wars universe.
A space cruise ship.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, so it's
So it's an imaginary cruise.
yes.
Okay.
That doesn't actually move. But okay. Well,
But it
hold on.
acts like a cruise, like there's a buffet and there's a captain and stuff.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So imagine you're going on a cruise, but you're in outer space.
Is there a place where you can drop your kids?
I don't have kids, so like I don't.
So you didn't notice.
No. I mean, my grandma dropped me off, I guess.
Oh,
like,
your grandma dropped you,
Oh,
an
yes.
adult child, off in the kid area.
The whole thing was a kid area, I'll be honest. So yes, I went. Actually, I'll get into this later, but I will say right now is me and my 75-year-old grandmother went together, and it was just us two. And she knows nothing about Star Wars, and it was amazing. But
Well, she knows something now.
she does. She does. She had a great time. This is so I was looking through ads and things, like trying to refresh my memory on like the ads, because I also remember the ads not. I was looking into this and reading a lot about it, so I knew what it was going into it, and especially as a theater person, I'm like, yeah, this is like immersive theater entertainment. That's awesome. But so, like the ads that they would play would not get across what you were about to do, like what you were going to do. And underneath all of their ads, this is how Disney would pitch it. Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is a revolutionary new 2-night experience where you are the hero. You and your group will embark on a first-of-its-kind Star Wars adventure you can call your own. It's the most immersive Star Wars story ever created, one where you eat, sleep, and live the experience and journey further into the Star Wars universe than you ever dreamed possible. Arrive at the Walt Disney World Resort Terminal and board a launch pod that will transport you to the magnificent Halcyon Star Cruiser. Stay in a well-equipped cabin with an exquisite view of space. Throughout the ship, you'll interact with an eclectic collection of characters, sit down to exotic galactic cuisine, and perhaps even plot a secret mission together. As the itinerary continues, you'll take the story further and deeper and choose your path. Seek out the inner workings of the legendary Star Cruiser, learn the traditional art of wielding a lightsaber, and even jump on a transport to the planet Batuu, where your mission continues in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Now, that's not exactly very marketable. That's a very long paragraph.
It sounds like something fun to bring the kids. Like you get to play with. Like if I heard that, I'm like, oh yeah, you get to play with swords, and they're just plastic, and I don't know. I get, maybe it's the theater person in me, but to me it sounds a little bit like when you take your kid to like a Civil War reenactment or something.
Have you taken Corinne to a Civil War
I haven't,
reenactment
but
yet?
when I ran my company, my theater company, we would do like the Revolutionary War stuff. We'd like go hang out with reenactors and like do like storytelling and stuff. But they would give kids fake guns, and they could like shoot the guns and
Oh, like those pirating.
yeah.
ships.
You get to like stand in line and march. I mean, ooh,
Yeah.
that's fun. But yeah, it feels that way to me. Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't need to be so foreign, I guess. Like there are plenty of occasions. I know,
Yes.
I understand this is for more adults, but like for children, there are plenty of occasions where there are these kinds of experiences where you participate with costumed characters. I mean, Disney itself was kind of built on that premise.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is like, that was a really long paragraph.
Well, yes, it's not. It's not a good tagline.
Exactly. That's the thing, is because you need
Yeah.
that one tagline,
I
right,
hear
to
you
get
there.
people
Yeah, right.
interested,
Yeah.
and then they look more into it. But
That's like the brochure.
yeah,
That's what you just
but
read.
that's not
That's
the
the
brochure.
tagline.
That's the tagline, basically. Well, their
That's-
tagline was Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, a 2-night experience.
Yeah, no, that's no good
that's-
either.
Yeah, exactly.
A 2-night experience.
That could mean anything.
Exactly.
I've had many 2-night experiences.
Oh, God.
Not all of them are worthy of a review
Yeah, exactly.
or an episode.
So it is like, so for the average Disney fan, like the average person who goes to Disney parks, they're like, what does that mean? And a lot of people don't want to look into it. And like, because Disney, they're like, Disney, you need to sell me on this thing. And then also, like, if you wanted to get out quickly, what it is, you could just say it's a Star Wars hotel, except it's not a Star Wars hotel. If you go into this experience, and that's what I'm going to be calling it from here on out, I don't want to call it a hotel, it's an experience. Thinking that this is just another elaborately themed hotel, you are going to be very surprised when you are there.
Quit talking to me. Quit bothering me. I'm just trying to go to the park.
Where's the pool?
Yeah, get off my case.
And like, so to put it more plainly, what this experience is, like I said earlier, you think of it as a cruise. You get on with the same group of people. Everybody on board is staying for the same amount of time, 2 days, 2 nights. Once you're on board, you are there to LARP. You are there to live action role play. You are there to act as if you are a person that is living in the Star Wars universe, and you are helping create this story on board the ship. And there's characters that you can meet and interact with them, and they like get to know you, and they'll like seek you out to do missions for them and stuff. And then just like a cruise, like you dock at this planet, and then you go onto the planet like I don't know, like when you go to the Bahamas and stuff, and they let you off to go.
You have little excursions.
Yeah, that's what they call it. They call it an excursion.
And...
See, the Star Cruiser is the only cruise I've ever been on.
I'm acting like I know, but Katie and I don't do cruises either. She hates the concept, and I'm skeeved out by the buffet, so we don't go on
That's
cruises.
fair. I can't imagine Katie on a cruise.
No. My wife does not belong on a cruise.
Yeah.
Disney, in their Hollywood Studios theme park, dedicated an entire section of the park to be a Star Wars land, and they call it Batuu is the name of the planet, and it's like Black Spire Outpost is like the name of the like civilization there, and it's meant to be an incredibly like immersive place where they really wanted it to feel like you were in a Star Wars movie when you were there.
Is that an MGM?
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios MGM became Hollywood Studios when they lost like the partnership with MGM or whatever. So that is what the park is called.
But it
now.
goes back a long while. It's been there for decades.
Yeah, MGM is Hollywood Studios has been around for a very long time, but then they.
Well, I mean, the Star Wars has had a place there for decades. Maybe not to the extent you're talking about.
No.
But there's always been a little not always, but for like 30, 25 years, there's been a Star Wars space.
There was a tiny little Star Wars place near where like the Muppets are.
Yeah.
And it's called Star Tours, and then like they had like a little stage where they do like a Star Wars show. That was awesome, and I remember as a kid.
Oh yeah, I did that as a kid too.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
It's so much fun. Star Tours is such a good ride, but they did not expand that area. That area is still there. However, if you walk down that street, there's this like big archway now that you walk through, and then you're like basically teleported
into
to this. Yeah.
Is Star Tours still there?
Yeah, it's still there.
Well, that's kind of confusing.
No, well, because Star Tours is not canon, whereas Batuu and Galaxy's Edge, which is the actual name of the theme park, not Star Wars Land, it's called Galaxy's Edge, is canon. Like,
yeah, if you're a nerd, you'll get that. But if you're a regular guy like me, you're like, wait, it was on the Star Wars back there?
well, the better Star Wars is over there.
No, it's a better one.
Yeah,
Where's the better Muppets?
The Muppets will be lucky if they're still there in a few years,
poor
honestly.
Jim
Yeah,
Henson.
they're getting screwed over. The Muppet 3D Vision or whatever the thing is there, nobody goes to it anymore. They actually use that line there to keep some of the line for the Star Wars ride. Because the Star Wars line is such a long line.
Well, 3D is no longer state of the art, is it?
No.
You had to think about
Not
it.
when things like the Star Wars Rise of the Resistance ride is right next door. Which is like, so you've been to Galaxy's Edge? Have you?
I've not.
Oh my God. It is like, so, oh my God. Like Galaxy's Edge is this whole separate thing. But I think the most important things to point out about it is that Disney wanted it to be canon. So it takes place in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. And so when you are there, like technically this is all actually happening in the Star Wars universe. So like the rides that you go on actually affect the story of the movies and stuff like that. Anyway, yeah, so you would go on an excursion to the theme park as like a way to keep with the immersive experience, where it's like, oh, you're in space, and then you get on a shuttle and they drive you to a special entrance where you don't have to go through the main entrance of the park, and they drop you off right in the Star Wars part of the park. So it's really as if like you don't see the outside world at all, which it was pretty cool. So combine that, not being able to explain what it is, or taking a half an hour to explain what it is, and then the huge price tag that comes along with it, you alienate most of your audience. So for 2 people to stay in a cabin together, the cost is around $4,800.
Total for both nights?
Yes. Total for the whole experience.
If it's your whole vacation, but 2 nights is a short vacation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So most people, they hear the words hotel and think $5,000 for 2 nights at a hotel. That's insane, which they are not wrong. It is pretty insane. Even if you know exactly what you're getting into, $5,000 is just too much money. And like, I had such a good time that when I went that I 100% wanted to go again, but it's just like, you can't afford to spend $5,000 like every year on this thing. Like, it's
And you
like,
can't anymore anyways.
yeah, and you can't anymore anyways because it's closing. And but I do want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, because people are saying that like Disney is being like super greedy with the price and stuff like that, which I definitely thought at first, but having gone and seen it, and as somebody who makes immersive theater in real life, I really don't think that the price is like that outrageous. Like, it feels kind of justifiable to me. And so I kind of broke down everything that you get in this $5,000 package. And I will say too, $5,000 is probably like the cheapest that you'll spend on this thing. If you bring like a family of 4, it could be up to like $6,000, $7,000, stuff like that. Like,
It's a bit cheaper though per person.
it is a bit cheaper per person, but it's still a lot of money. And so I'm not denying that it's a lot of money.
But there aren't like premium things, so you're just saying it's the number of people that determine the price.
Yes, and then they had like special rooms where you could fit more people, and they were like suites or whatever. And
The
those
honeymoon
did cost
suite.
and they costed more. They were like cut the captain's suite and something like that.
The
and
captain's suite.
that's
okay.
one of them. And then there was another one. But
Do you
I
have to
don't
sleep with
remember.
the captain?
No. That would definitely be an interesting experience.
Be hilarious. It's like booking a bed and breakfast in the Isle of Skye, and like you have to sleep with the innkeeper. Yeah,
Really weird.
it's your honeymoon. Anyway,
So for $5,000, you get a 2-night stay in this fancy immersive hotel room. You get day tickets to Hollywood Studios theme park. You get, Lightning Lane passes for Smuggler's Run, which is one of the rides in Galaxy's Edge where you get to fly the Millennium Falcon, and Rise of the Resistance, which is like the e-ticket, like best ride Disney has ever made.
I agree.
Also in Galaxy's Edge. And what Lightning Lane is Fast Pass, except now you have to pay for Fast Pass. They call it Lightning Lane. And for special rides like Millennium Falcon and Rise of the Resistance, you have to pay extra for them. It's like $15 to $20 per person for Lightning Lane passes. So, but they just give those to you. So you get to skip the line.
so that's $40 out of 5,000.
Thank you, Rob.
I'll do the math.
Yeah,
Here.
all of the food that you eat, including breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks, is included.
For 2 days.
For 2
I'm going to
days.
keep the math going here. So it's say 2 people with $5,000. So you up to $40 now. Wait, but it's 2 rides, so it's $80. But now it's like $25 a meal times 2 people. Let's just even it out and say it's $200 a day. So that's $500 now. Go ahead.
What about the day tickets to the park?
That's about $200 a piece, right?
Yeah.
So we're up to $900.
Okay. Well, and then staying in the hotel, like that's like another
Couple $100 a night
Yeah.
and at a reasonable rate, so you up to $1,100 to $1,300.
Yeah, well, that's why I say fancy, because it's probably not a reasonable hotel. Because some hotels in Disney World you have to pay like $800 a night to stay
that's
at.
true.
But anyway,
It's 2 days of park passes.
no, it's just one.
Okay, it's $1,300.
Is that included with the 2 days that you're there, or is that a separate day?
No, that is included with the 2 days that you're there.
I see.
And valet parking.
Okay, so $1,350.
All of this.
Valet parking in Orlando. Like you're really someplace. Sorry, Orlando.
So you don't have to park your own car.
Well, like New York City, valet parking maybe $100,
Well, yeah, that
$150
makes
bucks.
sense.
But in
okay.
Orlando, it's like $3.
I'm not saying all that equals $5,000,
All right,
Rob.
$1,350.
All of this state-of-the-art tech used to create space battles and lightsaber training and all the different effects that they had on
Are
the
they
ship.
sort of like rides, like unique or they're not rides. You don't ride in the hotel.
No.
You do things.
You do
games
things.
and stuff.
Yes.
But if we count them like a kind of a ride, okay, I'll get you up to like $15.50 there.
$15.50. Okay.
I mean, it's costing Disney a lot, but what would you pay if you like if I opened a Chuck E. Cheese that was like that, like my own like Star Cheese, space? What are we calling it? Space. What were we saying? Space Wars.
Cheese.
My Space Wars on the bay. You might pay $200. You might drop $200.
Yeah. No, that's
spending
fair.
a day playing
well,
these
and then
games.
you get live entertainment.
Okay,
and
so
then you also
$100
all of the
is
interactive story element.
I'll get you up to 19 there. $19.50.
That's not bad.
It's all right. You didn't make it to 5.
I'm not saying that. Hold on.
Let's go back here.
Yes.
Circle back.
So, okay. Well, and then I will say that you do have to pay for some things on board, but the only things you have to pay for are alcohol and merchandise. So
Yeah, well, that's fair.
yeah, and that's fair.
Is there
We'll
any
call it
merchandise
2,000.
included that you get to take home?
Yeah, I was.
I would
thinking
hope
about
a
that.
souvenir
Oh,
of some
the
sort.
building the lightsaber.
So building the lightsaber, you don't get to build a lightsaber on the ship, and that is something that you would have to pay for, like if you go to the actual theme park. The actual theme park has like you get to build your own droid and you get to build your own lightsaber, but those cost separate and aren't necessarily like you can go experience them when you stay like on the Halcyon, which is the name of the ship that you stay on. But that isn't necessarily a part of it.
Yeah.
And then, but everything on board, like I said, the only things you pay for are the merch and your alcoholic drinks. Even like soda and stuff like that. Like they just had like dispenser, like you could just go into the buffet and get it whenever you wanted to.
It's the least I'd expect on such a cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was awesome. Okay, so you look at all that. I feel like you get a lot.
You do.
For it.
It's like double the price, but I think that that's a product of it being in short supply
Yes.
because there's but one of these, right? So
Yes.
that's the supply and demand.
well, and then also think about how many actors that they have to pay to do this.
I agree that this costs Disney a lot. I'm just saying from a consumer standpoint,
I gotcha.
at $2,000 is what would be reasonable, but considering that this is the only one of its kind and that you can't get the experience elsewhere, I would be willing to double that. I'm being very generous here, but it still doesn't
It's
quite
okay.
get us to 5.
You can be upset with the price tag.
I'm not. Like, if somebody will pay it, get what you can get, I guess. I mean, not like Disney's poor or anything.
Yeah. So, is it still stupid expensive? Yes, it is still stupid expensive. But as a theater person, there were so many cast members, just like normal cast members who like make the hotel itself run. And they like waited on you hand and foot, and they were all amazing. So like they're getting like there's a lot of them. They have to pay a lot of them. Then all of the actors who are definitely getting paid more than normal cast members, and then also are working a lot those 2 days.
Well, they need to be. I mean, it's not like Mickey. God love Mickey and the heat and that costume,
I
but
know.
it's not. You have to do acting.
Yes, and then not only that, you have to do improv, and then you also have to remember all these people's names, and
So
you have to try
beyond
and
the
make them
face
feel
characters.
special. Yes,
Like Cinderella
Yeah.
doesn't have to remember your name
No.
after you
No.
leave.
No.
Yeah.
but these people do. And then on top of that too, there's so many different theatrical aspects to this that it isn't like a hotel where you just turn a light switch on and the hotel's good. There's people who have to sit there and like manage everything. They have to make sure nothing's running late. They have to make sure all the tech is working. They have to know when to press the button to make the tech work at the right time. Like there's so much that goes into this hotel that like I guess if you're not a theater person you might just not think about, but
Yeah.
like they have probably so many people behind the scenes making this thing run that Disney is spending a stupid amount of money on it, which is
Yes,
why
I believe that.
I believe that it is as expensive as it is, as unfair as it is, that it is so expensive.
I'm not saying I'm not saying that's unfair. I'm just saying if I'm acting like the average American consumer and I'm adding up what it would cost to do an all-inclusive cruise for
Yeah, but do you get to go to space in that on your normal
No,
cruise?
I get to go to an island.
But space is cooler.
Or I get to go to Alaska and watch the glaciers melt.
I will be detailing my personal experience on board and what it was like. But before I get into all that, because it's going to be just me geeking out about how much fun I had on this vacation, I'd like to get into other factors of why I believe the Galactic Star Cruiser failed first. So, like, number one, definitely price tag. Price tag and not being able to describe what it is. 100%. And then on top of that, all the ads that they released for this thing were really cringy. They were not good. Have you seen some of them?
I have.
I think I have, yeah. They were on network TV and stuff,
They're an
right?
interesting breed.
So what is it, Julian? What were they like?
Oh, God. They're so hard to explain.
Were there children?
Yeah, they're hard to explain, too. Yeah.
It felt like they were marketing towards kids for an adult experience.
I seem to recall there being children in the ads, like
There were.
Yeah.
guys, hugging them and showing them their sabers. Yes, sorry. That doesn't sound good, no matter how you put it. There was no way I could end that sentence. It doesn't sound creepy.
Well, but the thing is like, having been there, that's the thing, is like, you have to have been there to make any of it make sense.
Well, you're all alone here. Sure, it was like that.
There was plenty of things for kids to do, and the kids that were there seemed to have a really good time. But so it wasn't just an adult experience. But yes, it does, like, it's hard to explain what it is, even just from the ads that you see.
So, Julian, you thought, oh, this is for children, or the ad is geared toward children. Yeah.
And then it's geared towards children, and then you see the $5,000 price tag, and you're like, what?
I'm not taking my kid on this.
My kid doesn't make near enough money to be able to afford this thing.
And then another thing, too, is, like, they showed off some, like, right before it opened, they showed a video of, like, Josh D'Amaro, who is the head of, like, the parks division of Disney, and he was there, and he was showing off the lightsaber training. It looked so dumb and boring when he was doing it. It's like a grown man holding a toy lightsaber, and then a light shines, and he holds his lightsaber to the light, and then he moves it to the other light, like, kind of thing. So like, there's like a board, like, that kind of looks like a dartboard, and it would shoot out like a light that was going to tell you where the laser blast was coming, and then you'd hold it there, and then the light would, like, flicker brightly as if, like, a laser shot off, and then, like, it would go away, and then and it was very slow, and, like, it just looked really goofy. But I will say, it was actually really fun doing it in person. But it looks fucking stupid. I will say that.
I'm sure it's hard to sell. Oh, look, we'll train you in this imaginary skill. Don't you love to be trained?
And you can also do lightsaber training in the park as well, correct? Like the Jedi training?
You can... Well, so that is, like, near Star Tours, and it's for children, like, literal children, where you go and you fight, like, Darth Vader and Darth Maul at the same time.
Maddie's about to be like, no, I'm a black belt in this. I have been training every time I go.
Dude, when I remember I went to Disney once, and I was just too old to do it, and I was devastated. I was like, I wanted to do this so bad. And then watching it, I was like, they got to fight Darth Vader? What the fuck? I didn't get to do that!
Well, I think you've made up for it now.
I have definitely made up for it now. So then another one that happened is they released a picture of the captain of the ship. And now I don't remember what race of alien she is, but she's bright blue and she's got, like, yellow markings on her face. And the picture that they released of her, it looks bad. It doesn't look good.
Like, her makeup doesn't look good?
It looks like a costume. And people were making fun of that, and if I remember correctly, it was just a picture of her that was released, and people were making fun of that. And then if you booked it to, like, and you were one of the first people to go, they sent you a video of a woman who was a purple alien. I don't think I've ever seen this kind of alien in Star Wars, and she looked like a normal person, but she was painted purple, and she had, like, markings on her forehead, and she would describe to you what you were about to do on the Galactic Star Cruiser, and kind of, like, the context for the story going into it.
Yeah, George Lucas never needed a tour guide because no one was on a tour.
Well, what about Star Tours?
That's Disney's problem.
Fair enough. They did purposefully try to make this one cheesy. They wanted it to be, like, one of those cheesy, like, old vacation videos. But people were like, no, this is just cheesy.
They didn't get the joke.
No, they didn't get the joke.
Don't be cute, Disney. You're a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
I didn't think that video was that bad, but I understand why people thought it was so cringy. But definitely the one that was the cringiest, and I remember being like, I was really excited for this hotel, and then watching this video and being like, ooh. I don't remember the full context of it, but it was like the lead Imagineer who was behind making this, and she was showing some guy around the ship, and like as he's walking around, he accidentally gets sidetracked by something, and he like gets swept into like the actual Star Wars universe. And when you are there on the ship, one of the live performances is a Twi'lek person named Gaia, who is like meant to be like a famous pop star in the galaxy, and she sings a song, or like she does a performance during dinner one night. And so the video then changes to him being the only person in this giant dining room and Gaia singing directly to him. And it was very weird. It was like almost like sensual, like he was like all alone with this girl. It was a weird video. And
when would they show this to you?
This was just one of the ads for it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Just to like show off what it was. And then on top of that, people were making fun of the way it looked, because in the background you could see like exit signs and stuff like that.
Oh, well, that's fire code. That's always the problem with immersive theater.
I'm like, at the end of the day, we're still on Earth, people. Like, they can't not have those exit signs. If a fire started in that fucking concrete block of a building, I would have been very thankful for those exit signs. So
And they weren't written in some ancient galactic language.
no, yeah, exactly. But so these ads were just really weird, and they didn't help at all get the point across of what you will be doing. It just confused people, and then it also fed like all the people who thought that this was already a super cringy experience, making it even more cringy kind of thing. But it wasn't always like that, where people were just mocking the shit out of this thing. Back in 2017, Disney first announced this at D23 Expo, which is like their convention that they have every other year or so to just announce a bunch of new things. People were super stoked when they first announced it. They were like, yeah, this sounds like a great idea, and like all the things that they like showed concept art for, everybody was like, oh, I'm so excited for this. And then also this was also just a really good period for Disney in terms of Star Wars content, because The Force Awakens came out in 2014, and most people liked that movie. Like, Star Wars was probably the most popular it had been in a really long time. Mm-hmm. And Disney was trying to like ride that hype. But does anybody else know what came out in 2017?
It wasn't COVID.
It was The Last Jedi.
Oh.
I do remember seeing them in the theaters. I saw all three, but I did not remember when they came out.
It is okay, but I think it's very important with the timing of this, because in July is when the D23 happened, and everybody was super excited and happy about Star Wars. And then December 2017, The Last Jedi comes out, and suddenly the fan base is divided. Mm-hmm. After that movie released, it felt like being a Star Wars fan wasn't just about having fun anymore. People were so angry about that new movie that they would freak out at you for even suggesting that you liked it. And honestly, vice versa too. Like, some people got so upset with you not liking it that people would also freak out about that. Mm-hmm. So, but I will say that the people who didn't like it were louder.
Mm-hmm. This is, now that I'm thinking about it, this is just how Star Wars functions.
It does.
When I was in middle school, the movies were re-released, and Lucas touched them up. And the original movie, mm-hmm. Jabba the Hutt was a dude because he couldn't afford the puppet. Mm-hmm. But then when he retouched them, he made the dude the puppet. And people were a little annoyed. I think in part because it was, part of your childhood. Don't go back and mess with that. But they weren't as annoyed as when The Phantom Menace came out and ruined all that. People were hyped for Star Wars after they re-released those movies in the theater. I saw all of them as a middle school kid. And then when they got to Phantom Menace, everybody was torn apart by Jar Jar and that little kid in the race. And I mean, I know that these guys now maybe have, I don't know, softer feelings about it, but at the time that movie was loathed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I think it still kind of is. It's kind of the least
The least
important
loved.
movie
Yeah.
in the prequels for sure.
Yeah. But the prequels have definitely gotten love though. Like it's like
In hindsight.
Yes,
Oh,
in
absolutely,
hindsight,
yeah.
which is what I think will end up happening with the sequel trilogy in hindsight. But yes, people hated this the prequel trilogy, but then the sequel trilogy came out, and it was kind of like those toxic fans had a new target.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can say about Jar Jar at the end of the day.
Yes, especially when he was really only in. He was in all three of them, but he only had a major role in the first one.
Because he was drummed out, though.
Yeah.
I
No,
think they
that's fair.
intended a larger role for him, but he was so
he was
hated.
going to be a Sith Lord.
Yeah, because he was a Sith Lord. Exactly.
Suddenly, Disney, who was putting millions of dollars into a Star Wars themed land and immersive hotel experience all set in the sequel trilogy, now had a shitstorm of rabid, furious fans who wanted nothing to do with any of the things that they were working on. Disney, however, pushed forward, and they didn't back down from still promoting the sequel trilogy, but that seemed to make the toxic side of the fan base get even angrier.
Was Disney directly blamed? Like Disney was the cause of this?
Yes.
They
So
were.
that's bad because, I mean, their theme parks are their identity, right? So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
really like pulling out the Disney-ness of Star Wars and putting it right in your face. Therein lies a big part of the problem.
Yes, but at that point, like Galaxy's Edge, which is the theme park, was getting ready to open. It opened in 2019, so like they'd already started building it. Like the concepts were already there.
Too
Like you
late.
can't change it. Yeah, so they put all their eggs in this one basket, and then the basket broke, and they're like, "Shit, our eggs!"
Yeah.
but
It's like if Kermit and Miss Piggy had like a sex tape that got released right before they did the 3D. Yeah, that would have ruined that 3D
Oh,
thing.
you're
It
right.
would
Yeah.
have. Would've-
Yeah, nobody would have gone. I do like that Muppet Vision. I love I love Jim Henson, but that's why I'm picking on him today. I think he should be part of this. He did, after all, participate in the original Star Wars.
But he's dead now.
That's true.
He's been dead for a while.
Doesn't make
he
a difference
can't really
to me.
help make the sequel trilogy if
Jar
he's
Jar is dead too, but we're talking about him.
He's not dead. Actually, you know what? In the Clone Wars, Jar Jar, there's a whole episode where you find out that Jar Jar Binks is dating like a queen of this civilization.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, oh,
So you say that he's
He gets
immortal?
a happy ending.
He became immortal.
Well, if you
Some
think
planet.
about it, he's a Disney princess.
he's like
Yeah.
marrying a queen.
Yeah,
Oh, good for
he's-
Jar
he's
Jar.
the Cinderella of the series.
He deserves it after giving all the power to Palpatine in the second movie. Actively helping him take over. But he's stupid, so it's
Oops.
okay. Disney is like, we can't back down from this because we've spent so much money on the sequel trilogy, and there's really nothing we can do to change it now. So they doubled down, and people got even more pissed off about it, and like it became so vitriolic online, like, and I remember this time period too online, and even now, like sometimes I will go on dating apps like to talk to people, and I can't tell you how many times that somebody's like, oh, so do you like the sequel trilogy? And I'm like, yeah, it's okay, and then they send me like a fucking novel about like how stupid I am.
Are you in Star Wars based dating apps?
No. But I have
It's like in your bio or something.
yeah, like
yeah.
I have a picture of me in the Star Wars park or
Jedi
whatever.
mingle.
No. Jedi aren't allowed to have romantic interests, so like that
well.
wouldn't work out very well.
Well, they do. They're allowed to mingle.
They are allowed to mingle. They are allowed. There's like nothing against them having sex.
But I'm talking about normal dating apps, Rob.
Only Vader. It's just Darth Vader. That's the only person who's on there. You join, and he's the one who hits on you every time.
That's kind of creepy.
I want to
kinda
create that. That's going to be part of Space Hotel, Space Wars.
You get to date Darth Vader.
Yeah, well, there's a dating app that you are automatically signed up for, and you get pinged on your phone while the whole time you're there.
Interesting. Wow.
building this hotel.
I didn't realize that me mentioning a dating app would lead to all of this.
I'm excited.
This is happening.
We're making this happen.
Well, just as long as they don't tell you how stupid you are for liking a movie. Like,
Which
you know,
one?
all I would say is like I don't think the sequel trilogy is as bad as people think they do, and I literally get novels talking about like, how
I
bad
see what
these
you
things
mean.
are.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's why you should be on Vader. Just Vader. Only Vader.
so I can get force choked and then die of a broken heart.
Some women are into that, Savannah.
After giving birth.
I mean, but yes, but then I have to have his twins and then I die. Like, I don't want that.
Everyone has to happen to everyone who's on the internet.
Oh my god.
That's horrible.
So now a good chunk of the fandom that is very loud on the internet is bashing anything Disney Star Wars, which includes the theme land Galaxy's Edge. People were saying it was going to fail because they said it in the sequel trilogy, and people were like actively rooting for it to fail. And like the day it opened, I remember everybody online being like, "Oh, it failed. It's so bad," even though like a million people were there, and like I don't understand why people thought it's so fucking stupid. like
So
I
it was
said,
fully booked for quite a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It still is.
Yeah, you still like have to wait at least 3 hours to ride the Rise of the Resistance ride
Yeah.
and stuff. Like it people
Well worth it.
it people love this theme park.
What's
Even
your favorite part, Maddie?
I gotta say, the Rise of the Resistance was probably my favorite ride out of any of them that they have. Millennium Falcon is a good second, but I think the best takeaway from it is being like actively immersed into that experience. Like you go up to the food stands, and of course it's all, you know, themed and everything, but the cast members, they try to interact with you as well, and you feel like you're in an extended part of the movie that a lot of kids have been dreaming of for a long time.
How long did you stay? How long were you in that part of the park?
So I went to Disney. I spent about 5 or 6 days in Disney, but we spent an entire day in like
So you can
Galaxy's
do a
Edge.
whole
Oh yeah.
8 to 10 hours. Yeah, all right.
It is partially because of the wait lines,
Yeah.
I will say.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, I think it is well worth it in Galaxy's Edge.
I mean, I'm a crazy person, but now whenever I have a Disney vacation, I have a day solely dedicated to just Galaxy's Edge,
Absolutely.
and then another day where I do Galaxy's Edge and the rest of Hollywood Studios.
I dedicate a day to the Muppet 3D movie.
Oh, I'm sure you
Yeah,
would,
I
Rob.
do.
I'm sure you would.
I gotta go at
on
least
the-
once.
I do ride the Pirates of the Caribbean at the middle of the day to cool off, and then I go back.
Well, you'd have to jump all the way over the Magic Kingdom and then come back to Hollywood
I take a
Studios, but-
walk. I take the walk.
Wow,
I go
that's a
the
long
long
walk.
Yeah.
way, yeah.
Wow, you're just wow.
I'm a Starship Trooper.
Another thing that's super cool about it is they did go out of their way to make it super immersive. And one of my favorite parts about Galaxy's Edge is the sounds that happen. Because, like, depending on where you are, they have different sounds playing. Like, if you're in the market, you can hear, like, the storekeepers, like, in the top part, like, listening to the radio or something
that's
like that.
cool.
And then when you're standing in the, like, First Order district where like all the ships fly by and stuff like that.
Oh,
Obviously
yeah.
you don't see them because there's not really ships flying by, but all of a sudden like you'll be sitting there like eating something and then like you'll hear a vroom, like a TIE fighter just flew over you and everybody in the park
Looks
looks
up.
up.
As if
Yeah.
there's going to be
Yeah,
one there.
but it sounds like it's real.
Especially,
I know.
I think my favorite part was at night too, when everything is all glowy
It's
and you
amazing.
still have that immersive experience.
Yes, and everybody's walking around with their lightsabers.
Yes.
It's so cute.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
I want to be there now.
I do.
I'm going to Universal at the end of the month, which is why we're recording this now. And my cousin was like, none of us want to go to Disney. I'm sorry. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm going to be this close and I can't go?
You can go. We just have to leave them behind.
But yeah, so anyway, so people were making fun of Galaxy's Edge, and then the Star Cruiser screwed over by COVID as well, and also Galaxy's Edge in a way, because like Galaxy's Edge opened May 31st, 2019, so it wasn't open that long before they had to shut down because of COVID.
Yeah.
And then the Star Cruiser's date got pushed back a whole year because of COVID. They had to stop that, and then. On top of that, when the price tag got released, all these vitriolic fans were like, look at this shit, and look at all the stupid people that want to spend that much money to go there. Oh, and at the end of 2019, The Rise of Skywalker released, so making more people even more upset because a lot of people really didn't like that movie either. And then, like, the people who already hated the sequel trilogy were already like, yeah, fuck this shit. And so, like, it was kind of like Disney's Star Wars was going great, and then The Last Jedi came out, and then everything that they did from there on, like, got nothing but shit online. And then on top of that, with the Galactic Star Cruiser getting ready to open, they started releasing all those cringy ads, and everybody was just like, no, this is stupid. Except for me.
The only one at the door.
I wish. So at this point, I feel like I have given you guys enough context for the culture that was around this thing when it opened. And I would like to talk about my experience on board and what it was like to be a guest on the Halcyon. And like I said before, the Halcyon is the name of the cruise ship that you stay on. So I'm going to try and give you the best play-by-play I can. And if I get lost in the sauce, I need you guys to help me out a little bit. Okay, so I think I'll describe what the actual building is first, so you guys can get a little bit of context for that before I go into it being just a ship and actually real.
Okay.
I know it feels really real when you're on it, but anyway, so
you're giving us so you're not giving us the fictional perspective. You're giving us the
actual perspective.
Okay, so the meta.
Yes.
Look. Okay.
Yes. So essentially, this hotel experience is just a giant concrete square with a really, really skinny, long rectangle attached to it where all the hotel rooms are. Relatively phallic, I guess.
Like drone view.
Yes.
It's a giant
but
penis.
You never see any of that.
But it's got one testicle.
Yes.
Something happened.
Yes. I just had to say it because I knew you were going to end up saying it.
Oh,
so.
well, I mean, I guess. You never know when I'm going to mention a penis.
It's at least once a day.
That's true.
There it was, so I guess we're good now.
So, yes, that is what it looks like on the outside. So from the outside, it looks nothing special, but they like put a bunch of trees out there and stuff to hide it. Technically, the hotel itself is only 2 floors. When you get to the like launch pad where you go, it's like concrete. It looks kind of cool. Like you go through security, you go through this like really long hallway, and then they put you into a pod, like a space pod that is supposed to like jump you up to hyperspace to the ship. And now that is an elevator taking you to the 2nd floor of the ship, and it enters you into the lobby of the ship. And so you're in this big rectangular lobby, and there's benches, there's like decorations and things, and like giant holograms that are like having ship messages and stuff. And then there's also windows where you can see outside and see ships flying by and stuff. And then if you look to your left as soon as you get off of your pod, you see the bridge of the ship. So it's like this big glass window with 2 doors, and then like all these like consoles and things, and then of course like a big wide open like windshield, like the front of a ship. You look to your right and you can see the gift shop, the bar, and then above you there are these like balcony stage areas where it's just a balcony, but that is where a lot of the actors perform, so everybody can see everybody really easily. They're like at least 10 feet above you. Then there's elevators, and then there's a staircase going down and a staircase going up. And so the staircase going up is for people who have a room on the 3rd floor, but that's like a very small amount of people. I never went up onto the 3rd floor because you only go up there if you have a room. And then you go down, and then there's like a platform here where the 2nd room, like the middle row of rooms, is there. And then you go down one more, and then that is where everything else on the ship is. So downstairs, if you turn to the right, you go down a little hallway, and that's where the Jedi training room is. And then there is a climate simulator, which is basically a room that is actually outside. But they're saying that it's like, it's simulating the climate of Batuu. So, like, if you need to get fresh air and be outside, you have a way to do that.
I might need that.
Yeah, and it's nice. They have, like, pretty plants and stuff in there, and, like, a rock garden and things. And the plants are supposed to be from, like, different planets, and you can, like, scan it and learn what planet it's from and stuff.
Oh, so your phone is involved.
Oh, yes. Your phone is 100% completely necessary for this experience.
Interesting.
Yes, which I think is another thing that it confused a lot of people. There's another hallway that goes, and that takes you down to like another launch pod place, but that takes you to your excursion. So that, because in real life, so you were on a second story when you're in the lobby, and then when you go down, you're on the ground level and you're at a level good enough for you to get into a car, and then it takes you to Galaxy's Edge. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then there's the giant dining room, which is where you eat all of your food. And then they had a engine room, a brig, and a cargo storage area.
Huh.
And you can find your way into those. I didn't find my way into the brig, which is
that would have been my number one goal.
Yeah.
I walked into it, but like it was unlocked when I first got there because nobody was locked up in the brig.
But people did get locked up in the.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the thing. Oh, sorry. Now I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, so that's the basic layout. Oh, and then you can, or like right next to where the engine room is another floor of rooms. So there's 3 floors of rooms. There's 100 rooms in the hotel.
Whoa.
Yeah, only 100.
Okay. So, but 200 audience members then, roughly.
Well, they intend for you to have about 4 people in a room.
Oh, so you can get up to 400 audience members
Yes.
in the performance.
Yes.
That's a substantial number of people to
Yeah.
entertain.
Exactly, which is why there were so many actors on this thing.
Yeah.
So that is the basic layout of the ship. Like the dining room, cargo, and brig and engine room are all right next to one another. And then the dining room takes up most of the space on the bottom floor. That is the context, the whole area of the ship. And I will be referring to it as the ship from here on out. No, not the experience anymore.
Throughout me recounting my story of my trip on the Halcyon, I wanted to throw in some testimonials, I guess would be the right word, of other people who got to experience the Halcyon. I'm in a bunch of groups on Facebook and places where the community is just so friendly and supportive, and we all just came together and just love this experience. And I want to get as many positive things about this experience out there. Is it perfect? No, but I think it's really important to show like how deeply touched people were and are by this experience. So shout out to Dano, the Dano channel on YouTube, for hosting or being the admin of all these groups and for letting me put a post in there. And I unfortunately won't be able to share every comment that was shared with me, but I did pick out some of my favorites, and I am very happy to share all of these wonderful stories that just make the Halcyon, the Galactic Star Cruiser, the Star Wars Hotel, one of the most special experiences there was.
We got there around 11:30, and you're not allowed to get onto the ship until 1 o'clock. I think it's so they can fix everything and stuff, because it's like the guests before you leave at like 10 o'clock that morning, and then they clean it all up, and then at 1 o'clock the new guests come in. And
That's
then
pretty efficient.
It goes every 2 days like that.
Mm-hmm.
The second you get there, they start like waiting on you hand and foot. Like they bring us our magic bands, which is like a Disney thing that you have to wear when you don't have to wear what you wear when you go to the parks, and it kind of like keeps track of all of your data for you. Yes.
Sure, for you. It's doing it
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. I know, but also they look cute.
Yeah. Of course they do.
Basically, you can like scan it on anything, and like all of your reservations are on there and stuff like that, and you can pay for things with it and stuff.
Yeah.
But you need it for this experience, because a lot of the things that you need to do like are attached to this magic band, and I think they call it a data band or something like that for the hotel, but I don't remember.
But it looks the same.
Yeah, well, yeah, except it has a nicer design on it, and it doesn't have a Mickey Mouse symbol on it. It has the symbol of the
throw
ship.
the world. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have a Mickey Mouse
It
symbol
would
on
be
it.
cool if they were like, "Oh yes, that is the intergalactic mouse." symbol."
He owns this Starcruiser
Yes,
line.
yeah. We are owned by a large anthropomorphic mouse.
So you go through security, and it's just like an airport terminal. And then we were stuck in this really long concrete hallway for a little bit. And they like split you up into groups however many people can fit in these pods. I think we were in there with like 6 other people. It's it's relatively long, and
Get down to small audiences now.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them. If you're down to 6 and there's
well, that's
300
why
to
people
400
recommend you getting there early, because like you could be waiting in line for a really long time to get onto the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can only fit like 10 people max in those elevators that look like spaceships.
And this is essential to how they organize you to begin the performance.
Not really. The
okay.
performances don't necessarily start until 4:00 that day. So it's just to get people onto the ship and to start getting them immersed into the world of this.
So it was a bit of a design flaw.
What do you mean?
Well, that it would create a logjam.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's 2 of them. There's 2 elevators. But
Well, still though, if you got to get
Still.
there early.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not even like watching anybody perform while waiting. You're just waiting in a line.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the Disney way, though. I mean, not the
Yes.
not watching, but the like, screw you have to wait. It's
Yes.
like Disney's, like, that's underneath the name. Walt
Yeah.
Disney World, screw you, wait.
And honestly, that's probably why it didn't even faze me. I was
Because
like,
it's
yeah,
just
I'm
what you
going
do
to
here.
wait in line to
Yeah.
get into this hotel.
I mean, ironically, you go to like motor vehicle and you're furious if you have to wait in line. Oh, look at how long this line is. But you get to Disney World and you're like, oh, this is a great
most people
concrete
are in such a
hallway
good
that
mood.
arranged for me.
I made some friends in line and stuff. It was nice. Everybody was dressed up. Oh, I dressed up. I was dressed up the entire time and had multiple different outfits.
Was there consistency to your character?
Yeah.
All right.
I'd say so.
I'm not judging. I'm just asking.
It sounded kind of judgy.
All of my life, I've had a huge imagination. When I was a kid, I would pretend to be a Transformer, Rainbow Bright, Indiana Jones, and yes, a character in Star Wars. Even as a teen and an adult, anytime I held a stick or a sword, I made lightsaber sounds when I swung it. I dreamed and daydreamed about being a character that got to carry out missions, who trained with lightsabers, who helped the rebels. Going on the Star Cruiser gave me the chance to bring my imagined world to life and allowed me to live it for a short time. When I left, I held it together hearing the exit theme. I lost it when I was driving away, realizing I'd never experience this on the same level again. I'll never forget the experience, the people, or the feelings. Ariel H.
So we get onto the ship, and right away, it looks amazing. And it feels very Star Wars-y, but the smell in the lobby, I cannot describe it, but it is the best smell I've ever smelled, and I'm actually so upset that I will never get to smell this smell again.
Really?
How would you describe it?
It was so clean and
Just clean.
I don't know what kind of smell it was, but it was so good.
Well, it must have been produced through some combination of chemicals.
Yeah.
So
Or like pumping it through the
theoretically,
vents or something.
yeah.
But it wasn't just like a normal cleaner. It wasn't like they just threw cleaner out. It was like it was definitely a very specific smell that they made for it.
If anyone in the corporation is listening, they'll be pitching the idea of selling
Scent bottles.
scent bottles. Yeah. Or
They just are
Glade
candles.
plugins.
Give me a candle of the smell, and if it smells exactly like it, I will buy 1 million of them.
Yankee Candle Halcyon edition.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you walk out, you see everything, you smell it, and then there is a line of cast members there, and one of them goes, like, I'm looking for Savannah Verrett, and I was like, hello. And they're like, oh yes, Savannah and the Love Party, because my grandmother's last name is Love. She's like, let me take you to your room, and so she like escorts us to our room. And
So their characters then are ship employees.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And she's like, what are you most excited about, like, going on the Halcyon for? And I was like, oh, I've never been and stuff. And she's like, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that. My favorite place is to go to the climate simulator and stuff, like, already kind of, like, feeding this. And she's like, oh, and the famous pop star Gaia's going to be on this cruise. Can you believe it? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know her. And she's like,
Earth goddess herself. The earth itself is going to sing to us. The world spirit.
And she's like, well, you have to see Gaia's show then if you don't know any Gaia music. And I was like, I will do that. And yeah, so we go into our room and like we explore the room a little bit. The rooms are kind of small. Not that much smaller than a normal hotel room, but still, like it only fits one queen size bed in it instead of two.
How am I going to bring my kids?
There's bunk beds.
Oh.
So when you walk in, like you know, most normal hotels, it has like a skinny hallway and like the bathrooms up towards the front, and then it opens up into a big square, and then the wall is like it looks all like Star Wars-y, futuristic, and then it has a window that looks out into outer space. And so you can see like ships going by, and it's actually really cool too, because depending on where you are in the galaxy, your view outside the window changes. So because we're outside of like the port, there's all these other cruise ships that you can see outside your window and stuff. Yes, so then you have one queen size bed, and then on the wall there's 2 bunk beds. So you have to climb up get into one, and then there are other bunk beds down below. And then if you have a 5th person, there's a secret bed that you can pull out from the wall.
So you get up to 3 children.
Yeah.
You had number 4, no Star Wars hotel for you. Or you better
gotta
get a room for Junior.
Yeah, or you get the captain suite that can fit like 8 people.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And the captain, apparently.
You were thinking of stopping at 3 children, but now I encourage you to carry on to 5.
Me?
I'm talking to our strange ride listener.
And then, like, when you're inside the room, there was like a control panel looking thing in there, and a button on it was glowing red, and I'm like, what is this? So I press it, and a droid pops up and is like starts talking to me, and she's like, what are you like?
Help me, Savannah, you're my only hope.
No, she was cool. I don't remember her name, but she was super cool. She was like, yeah, I'm like your personal assistant, and like, and I'll be help driving the ship and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And like, I would respond to it, and it would respond to me.
That's
like
neat.
correctly?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like the same words programmed?
No, it
wow.
wasn't. It was
Okay.
really cool. And yeah, because she was like, well, do you need any help figuring out what you want to do? And I was like, yeah, tell me your favorite thing. And she told me about like the Sublight Lounge, which is the bar and stuff like that. And like talked, and she was like, do you know anything about the planet Batu you'll be going to tomorrow? And I was like, I do. And she's like, oh, that's great. And like, it was kind of cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I also should have said, so the story going into this experience, hotel, ship, is that it is the Halcyon's 275th anniversary. And so for its anniversary, they are retaking their maiden voyage and going the same route as that, and then stopping off at Batu for an excursion. And that's like kind of the general idea, and it's like a luxury cruise liner from Chandrila, which is like a super fancy planet in Star Wars and stuff. It all takes place in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, and it is canon. So apparently the events that happened on the ship actually happened within the Star Wars story, so that means that I am a canon Star Wars character.
You and
Period.
399 other people.
Hey, that's okay. There's
Every
a
other
lot of
day.
extras in the Star Wars movies,
That's
so
true. That
I'm
is
just
true.
not one of them.
A once-in-a-lifetime experience that could have been used to revolutionize the entertainment industry on a massive scale. Not an exaggeration. I work in the industry. L.
I watched like a YouTuber give tips like without spoiling the story, like what you should do, and he was like, yeah, when you're exploring the ship, you should put your magic band like on anything that has like a Halcyon symbol on it. And I was like, okay. So me and my grandmother are exploring and I'm touching like literally everything that I see with this like magic band and stuff, and like there isn't much to explore at first. There's no actors about or anything, like, and then we were hungry, so we went and got lunch at the buffet. And then as we're sitting there eating lunch, I get a notification on my phone that Wraith Cole has messaged you, and I'm like, who?
Sounds a little intense.
So you have an itinerary on your data pad, and it's like a special app that you have for this hotel cruise. ship.
Whatever it is.
Yes, I keep
Event.
calling it all the different names. And on that, you can get messages. And so I got a message from like one of the characters, and he says, "Oh, I see you're touching things that you're not supposed to be touching." And I was like,
That's not what YouTube said.
and he was like, "No, I think you and I could like work together, like, cause like I need something from the engine room, but I can't get into the engine room, but I can show you how to do it." And I was like, "Okay, bet."
You toucher of things.
Yes. Well, so Wraith Cole is actually meant to be like the smuggler Han Solo character. So he's like sort of a criminal, sort of a, but
I
with a heart
see.
of gold kind
Right,
of
yeah.
thing.
Everybody likes that guy.
Yeah, and everybody loved that guy. I'm like, "Grandma, I'll be right back." She's like sipping this like blue Chardonnay.
So grandma's in heaven.
Oh, Grandma was so
She's
happy.
doing just fine.
Grandma loved
Go
it.
ahead, have a good time.
That's exactly what she said. So like he tells me to go over to this like console thing, so I touch it, and he like is like, "You need to hack it," and like he like, and so I like hack
This is the actor now?
No,
We still haven't
I'm
seen
still
the
on the phone.
Oh, you're on the
but
phone
I'm
with
not
him.
talking to them. It's like a text message thing.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, "Great, I saw that you just like," I put my bracelet magic band data pad thing on it, and he messages me and is like, "I see that you just got there," like that. Which is like, yeah, there's a lot of like technological stuff that goes into this thing. And he's like, "Now you need to hack this. You do it by this." And I was like, "Okay." And then like I do like a little puzzle and I hack it. And he's like, "Great. Now you have access to the engine room. But when you go in there, be sure to tell whoever is in there that the captain sent you, because like they don't want you in there." And I was like, "Okay." So I went a month after it opened. So there were a lot of bugs that happened. So I was able to get into the first part of the engine room, but I was not able to get into the second part of the engine room. But I think that was because the door was broken. So how I ended up getting into the engine room was I saw people standing in the brig, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And they weren't actors, they were just normal guests. And then I saw them get down on their knees and crawl through a hole, and I was like, "What is happening?" So I go over there and I crawl through the hole, and now I'm in the engine room. And I was like, "Oh, cool." And then there's like one cast member lady, and she's running around like she's in the crew suit, and she's running around, she's like freaking out, and there's like smoke and sparks going off, and all these people are running around like moving stuff, and I'm like, "What is happening?" And she comes up to me and she's like, "What are you doing here? Who are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, the captain sent me." And she's like, "Great, you need to fix this thing." And I like start like moving buttons
That's
and
clever,
pressing
yeah.
buttons, and like if you pull this like lever, smoke will come out and stuff. And then she's like, "Yeah, see all those things?" And like it's like a picture of the ship with all these lights, and they're turning like green and red, and she's like, "We need all of them to be green so we can take off." And I was like, "Whoa, this is a lot of work." Because there was a lot of them that were red. And I played in there for like a little bit and like explored it. It was really cool. And then I ended up leaving and going back to my grandmother.
Had you resolved the problem, or you're just like, all right, I think you
Well,
guys
there
have
were
got
a lot
this?
of people, and I think I went in there and I got whatever Wraith wanted me to get. He wanted me to get something. I think there was like a console in there that I had to scan, and then he would be able to have access to that console or something. So like I just gave some random guy who just texted me access to the ship's engine.
Right.
As one does.
Normal Tuesday.
I don't know why, but I just did it because he texted
Well,
me.
it didn't seem like the people in charge were doing very well, so it couldn't go worse.
I guess that's fair, you know? I guess so. If you just text me random things, I just might do it.
So do you think, I don't want to pull back the curtain too much, but is it AI that you're interacting?
No, I think it's set. Oh, so with the text messages things, so they would say something to you, and then you'd have 3 or 4 choices of things that you could respond with.
Oh, so it's like a video game.
It's like
it's
a video game in real life.
Yeah.
And I was actually just about to say that, and that's why I did that. Like, because like in a video game, anybody gives me a quest, I'm gonna go do that quest for the most part. So,
Boy, yeah, you play the hell out of these games.
well, also it's in real life. How often do you get to play a video game in real life? I'm gonna do every goddamn quest that somebody gives me.
I see in that, yeah. Yeah.
I was at the data terminal near the stairs and brig trying to figure out a code when a crew member approached me and asked how I'd gotten access to engineering. I smiled and said, "Bob told me," and walked away. A few hours later, we're exploring and I hear the crew say, "Bob's giving out the code again." There is no Bob. I made Bob up. So great to see how the crew runs with what we give them. Stephanie F.
So I go back, and me and my grandma go to the bar where she gets another drink. And I'm sorry, Grandma,
Have
if
a
you're
good
listening
time,
to this.
Grandma.
It was good. It was a good time. She got the Outer Rim Martini, which was really pretty pink and had like glitter in it. And it was really cool looking, and she loved those. She got that and then didn't drink anything else for the rest of the vacation.
She's living on the outer rim.
Yeah. And the bar is really cool. Like it's got like it's all futuristic and stuff. And then in Star Wars there is a poker game called Sabacc, and they had like a hollow Sabacc table. So instead of playing with actual cards, you would sit down and you would if you sat in the right place correctly, you would actually see the cards like in a holographic form in front of you.
Oh.
And so I saw somebody got up, and they only have one of those tables and it can only fit 4 people. So somebody got up and I was like, okay, I'm going. And I sit down and I'm like, I have no idea how to play this game. And they're trying to help me, but they're also trying to win. So they're not like helping me that much. The other guest at the table.
Who knew how to play?
Yes.
How did they know?
It's an actual game that you can play in real life now because of
Lord.
Star Wars.
Oh,
So then this part happens, and a woman who is a Rhodian, which is what Greedo is. You remember Greedo? The like green reptile with the like skinny mouth and like little Shrek ears?
Yeah.
She's like dressed up all fancy, and she comes in and she comes over to me and she starts talking to me. However, Rhodians speak in Huttese, so she's speaking in gibberish to me, and I'm like, what are you trying to say to me? And she's like pointing at things, and I'm like, I don't know how to play this game. And then she starts pressing buttons, and then I win like 4 rounds in a row, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like,
Thanks for the help.
yeah. Like that was kind of cool. The alien taught me how to play Sabacc. I still don't know how to play Sabacc, but I won a bunch, but it doesn't matter. You don't win anything. But it was fun. It was really cool. And then finally at 4:00 is when all of like everybody should be on board at that point. The ship muster happens, and this is where you are introduced to all of the characters that you are going to meet on this journey. So at first the cruise director Lenka Mock comes out, and she like is like, thank you for joining us on the anniversary trip of the Halcyon. And then like here's the captain, and it's Captain Kevin comes out, and it's the blue lady that I was talking about earlier, and she gives a little speech.
How
And
was her makeup?
she looked fine to me.
So it's just the video made her look
yeah.
not well done.
Yeah. It's always going to be different in person too. And like it was kind of like a close-up picture of her, but like in person she looked fine. Like yeah, I could tell it was makeup, but it wasn't like you look terrible. Like, and then like the mechanic Sammy runs out and is like, oh, something's wrong in the engine room, and they're like, shut up, Sammy, and they like send him away. And then you meet a droid. There's like an actual R2D2 style droid rolling around, and he's like life-sized, and his name is SK260, and he was awesome. He was super cool, and he's like chilling up there, and like they're like, okay, we're about to take off, when all of a sudden, scary music starts playing, and a lieutenant of the First Order, so dressed like completely in black with like the Empire looking hat, walks in with 2 stormtroopers behind him, and then everyone in the crowd like 10 feet below them starts booing, and he looks around like, what the hell? Like, why is everybody booing me? And he's like, I suspect that there's resistance activity on this ship, and so I'm going to be yeah, I know. And I'm going to be investigating. And like Lenka Mock's all like pissy, and she's like, no, like this sucks, I don't want First Order here. And the captain's like, no, it's okay, we welcome all guests, there's no resistance activity on this ship. After they do all that, and then we like launch and we take off or whatever, all of the characters come down into the audience and like introduce themselves to people individually and stuff. And so I really wanted to do the Resistance storyline, because I like I like being a rebel person in this Star Wars.
As you can tell from her attendance at Disney's Star Wars hotel.
Yeah. You could choose to be a bad guy.
Savannah bucks the system. She's anti-corporate America.
As I'm paying $5,000 to stay at this place.
Down with the Empire.
Anyway, I'm not here to be called a hypocrite.
Well, then I don't know why you invited me.
I don't know either, Rob.
You know what, Rob?
You know what, Rob? We can do this
We
without
can do
you.
it without you.
So I go up to Lenka Mock, who obviously did not like the presence of the First Order, and I have a ring a Star Wars ring where basically like if you turn a little thing, it shows like a hidden rebel symbol. So like I go up to her and I introduce myself to her and she's like, "What planet are you from?" And I'm like, "Coruscant." Like the first planet I thought of, I was like, maybe I should have come up with a backstory, but it was fine. She's like, "Oh yeah, okay." And I'm like, "Oh, so I noticed like you didn't really seem to like the presence of the First Order here." And she's like, "Oh yeah, it's not because they're the First Order. It's just because like I just don't like uninvited guests coming on the ship. It ruins my plans for everything." And I'm like, "No, it's okay." And I like turn my hand to her and I like turn the ring and like show her the symbol. And I was like, "I don't really care for the First Order either." And then she like gives me this like smile and this nod and she's like, "I'm gonna need your help later. Like we need to take care of this problem." And I'm like,
oh my god,
That's so cool.
right? Right?
But you didn't know to do this. You hadn't seen this anywhere.
No.
It's-
And you didn't have the ring. I mean, like, not everybody.
No.
That's your personal property that you brought
Yeah.
all on your own initiative.
Yeah.
It's from which movie?
The
is
Last
it?
Jedi, actually,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I am a theater person. I like playing D&D. I like role playing, and I knew, and from things that I have watched and read about this, they were saying that if you interact with the actors, they will play ball. So I was like, I'm playing
So
ball.
with the 400 people, there's a large contingent of them that don't have the skill set that you have, that are more inept at this and that won't get as much out of it. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah.
wow.
But I will say the actors do go out of their way to include people.
Yeah.
However, if you go out of your way to be included, you will be included a lot more.
Yeah. So you can. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. It's like gym class with the football guys. They get to do all the good stuff.
Yeah, I was the cool football guy at the Star Wars.
I like that. I like this more and more. Go ahead.
So like she's like, "Okay, well I need to like I'm gonna go talk to other people so like we don't draw suspicion, but like I will see you later." And I was like, "Okay." And she goes to walk away and then she turns back around and comes over and she whispers, "Ignite the spark," which is a call and response in Star Wars where like if you're part of the rebellion, somebody says ignite the spark to you and you say light the fire. And I knew that, so I go light the fire and she like we wink at each other and then we separate. And then I introduced myself to the captain, but I didn't know where her allegiances lied, so I didn't say anything about being a rebel there. But I was told that you should introduce yourself to the characters so that they know your name, so that they will try and include you in things. So I was just like, let me just talk to the...
How many characters are there again?
Shit, sorry.
So there's 400 guests.
There is the captain. There is Linka Mock. There is Sammy the mechanic. There is Wraith Cole, who is the smuggler guy. Then there's Gaia. There's Sandro, who is like a mega fan of Gaia. There's like so many different storylines going on too when you're like on this hotel. And then, Lieutenant Croy in the First Order.
So there's 7 characters, 7 actors
Yes.
for 400 guests.
Oh, and then there's the Saja, who are the Jedi trainers, and there's like a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's a lot of those people.
Okay. But to get to with the real, like the core characters, there's 7 of them.
Yes.
Wow. So you kind of have to really have a skill to be able to get in with them. It's 400 people. I mean, maybe it's 350, but still it's 35 people per character.
Yes, but everybody has different schedules and different itineraries, so they do a good job with crowd control to put you in places so you're always doing something. But even when you don't have anything on your itinerary, that's when you get a chance to really interact with the actors, like in a situation that you didn't know what was going to happen.
So they scale it back so that the 7 actors are sufficient. Maybe get it down to 100 people or 50 people.
I think so. I think one of my biggest gripes would be that I think the audiences, or like there should be less guests or more storylines, because there were certain points by the end of the day, the second day, where like there were a lot of people with one actor, and the one actor was like, "Okay, like I only need a couple of you to do this thing." And I think part of the problem is because that wasn't a problem on the first day. I think by the second day, everybody knew what was happening, and they were like, "I want to play everything."
But you had already gone well ahead of everybody else.
And there's so much to do on that second day that like I don't know, maybe I was. It's hard for me to say. I don't know, actually, because I did go into this with prior knowledge and things, and also I know way too much about Star Wars. So
your grandmother, like, what planet are you from? She's like, Earth.
Yeah. And it was so funny. I don't know why, but
Light the fire. Damn straight.
damn straight. Yeah, that's something my grandmother would say.
Gee golly, yep. What would your grandma say?
I don't even know. I think she'd just go, okay.
Okay.
So the captain, like, then, like, from there on out, like, anytime she passed by my grandmother, the actress, she would go, "Oh, hi, Mary Ellen." Like, anytime she walked by her, it was so cute.
Your grandma was like, light the fire.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my grandma's sitting there, like, in the lobby, basically the entire trip, sipping on the Outer Rim martinis, like, oh, yeah.
Little sparks of magic are what made the experience for me. I still wanted to experience more and think I may have had slightly overinflated expectations, but when I think about the few moments I did get to interact with Lieutenant Croy, it literally felt like a spark of magic in those few seconds. Like I was actually in Star Wars, that I was actually helping and contributing to a larger story. He managed to create those moments just by his charisma and acting ability. That's what made the experience unique and special for me, those handful of moments where it all felt real. Rachel C.
So then I see Wraith Cole in the corner, and I'm like, oh, okay, he didn't get an introduction at the thing, but I know him, and he gave me, like, a code to say to him. So I, like, walk up to him, and I say the code, and he's like, okay, this is what's happening. And he tells me that he's a smuggler and that he's, like, Gaia's manager, and he wants to help her with something, but he doesn't trust us enough yet to tell us what it is. And I'm going to embarrass myself a little bit here for your entertainment. I actively avoided doing Wraith Cole missions because I thought the man who played him was so handsome that I was afraid to talk to him. I swear to God, he was so handsome. And because I went and talked to him that first time, and then, like, some other dude came up and was, like, trying to say the passcode, and he couldn't. And then he was like, hold on. And he, like, pulled out his phone, and the dude, like, put his, arm on my shoulder and was like, this guy's got to look up a script, right? And I was like, yeah, fuck that guy. Well, without saying that, I didn't curse when I was in Star Wars. But
No.
I was like...
George Lucas would have kicked your ass out of there.
But, yeah, so after that, I was like, I can't talk to this guy anymore. He's too handsome.
That's another design flaw.
And yeah, so then we're like roaming around, doing stuff, like kind of just looking at everything. And then I was looking for like a mock because I was like, I want to start doing like rebel missions, but I couldn't find her anywhere. But then I'm chilling in the lobby with my grandma, who's like, I want another drink. So, and like they'll wait on you hand and foot. Like if you sit in the lobby, somebody will come up to you and be like, "You want a drink?" And my grandmother was like, "Yep, get me that Outer Rim martini." So I saw the Lieutenant Croy, the First Order guy, standing there by himself, and so I was like, you know what? I'll go talk to him. And so I go up to him, and I'm like, Lieutenant Croy, I think it's very noble what you're doing here. And he's like, thank you. I normally people don't boo me when I walk into a room. That was very weird. And he starts down, and I'm like, oh, I know, that's crazy. And like, I'm like schmoozing him because I'm like, I could try and be like a double agent. He starts telling me his whole backstory, which was so cool. He's like, yeah, I've been tracking this ship for a long time, and it seems like everywhere it goes, resistance activity spikes. And guess what? I was like, what? He's like, my superiors didn't believe me. And I'm like, oh, that is just crazy. And he's like, I know, but I kept bugging them, and they said finally I could investigate it. But do you know what they did? And I'm like, what? And he's like, they only sent me with 2 stormtroopers. And I'm like, oh, no.
It is kind of hilarious that he has 2 stormtroopers. Like, it's financially a good idea to not have 5 of them, but it's pretty funny.
It is so I fell in love with this guy. He was such a good actor. He was so funny, and he was always the butt of the joke. And like him and I formed a friendship. And
even though you were a rebel.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's like, you're not a part of the resistance, are you? Meanwhile, like, underneath my jacket, I have a shirt that has, like, the rebellion symbol, and I'm wearing the ring that has, like, a Rebel symbol on it. But it was hidden. And he's like, well, because I only have 2 stormtroopers, I need help looking for resistance activity. Like, will you help me? And I was like, absolutely. And so he takes me over to this console, and he, like, presses a few buttons and then gives me, like, the highest security clearance with the First Order. And I'm like,
whoa. Just like that. Wow. Just to a random person.
Man, I guess I was just that charismatic. Oh, and that is like, he was in the middle of talking to me, and then all of a sudden, like, a noise plays. This is when Gaia gets introduced. So as I was there in the lobby, you can see from the windows, and I could see on the bridge that, like, Wraith Cole was in there with, like, a big group of people doing, I guess I should say that, like, 2 of the things that you get to do when you go there is you have a scheduled time for lightsaber training, and you have a scheduled time for bridge training. So, you get to fly the ship at one point. So Wraith Cole was, like, I guess helping people fly the ship, but he flew them to go pick up Gaia. So, like, there's, like, other story elements happening. So, like, I had no idea that was happening, but I could see we were jumping into hyperspace from the windows and stuff, and then all of a sudden Gaia arrives, and Croy is, like, smitten. He's like, I'll be right back, and then goes and talks to her and never talks. He did talk to me again later, but, like, he walked away, and I was like, oh, goodbye. But it was like a story beat moment. He was meant to be in the lobby, and he was like, I'll talk. I mean, as an actor thinking about it, he was like, I should talk. If anybody talks to me, I talk to them until Gaia shows up, and then I go and talk to Gaia and move the story forward, kind of thing. So Gaia's like, yeah, I'll be performing at dinner tonight, and she's whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Truly one of the greatest experiences of my life. I'm 78 years old and spent my life teaching theater at a university level. This was the most immersive theater activity I have ever seen. The cast was amazing. They, along with the missions, the text messages, and the video droid, all made us truly live this cruise for 2 days. I believe there were techniques used here that could permanently influence the way theater is presented. This was a once-in-a-lifetime event. Anna Marie N.
Fast forward to lightsaber training. So, lightsaber training looked really bad in videos. It's amazing in real life. So, you meet your Saja. I had Saja Maya. She was wonderful. I loved her. What you do is you're in a room with maybe 20 people, and you split into a couple of lines, and you stand in front of, like, it looks kind of like a dartboard, like I was describing earlier, and it has like a laser light that will shoot out. So she hands you this lightsaber, and then the person behind you gets a shield, like a plasma shield, so in case you miss a laser bolt, you can deflect the laser with the shield. So you hold the lightsaber, and she's like, okay, turn it on. And it is a toy lightsaber, like, it's plastic and stuff. Well, not the hilt, but the blade is plastic and stuff. She has you turn that thing on, and you feel it. Like, you feel it vibrate, and, like, you hear the sound. Like, it felt like a real lightsaber in your hand. It was so cool. And then when you would guide your lightsaber to, like, where the light was, so it would tell you where the laser's going to hit. And when a laser would shoot, if you were in the right spot, you would feel the laser hit and deflect off of your lightsaber.
So this is like Neo Saber quality lightsabers.
Yes. And, like, I don't know how they did it, and how, like, through all the Bluetooth, like, it was able to tell that I was able, like, deflecting these lasers and stuff.
Really cool.
Wow. It was amazing. And the same thing for the shield, because, like, when I was holding the shield, I was like, there's no way this thing will do it. But if somebody missed it and I was in the right spot, I would feel it deflect off of the shield, and the shield would make, like, a special noise. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. So I was already having a great time. And basically, so, like, the first 2 people would get to do something, and then, like, after a couple turns, or you'd, like, trade with people and just keep going in a line. Then she, like, and she turns up the difficulty and stuff, and then, like, we do the highest difficulty. That actually got pretty fast, but it wasn't, like, too challenging. And then she's like, yeah, like, you guys did everything. Like, I guess, like, you guys are just really good at this. And then she's like, I have nothing else to teach you. And then all of a sudden, fucking Yoda's voice starts talking.
Why is he here?
It's like the whole room changes color. The wall, like, changes in front of you, and it, like, becomes black and sparkly, and then there's, like, a green light that happens, and it's like Yoda's like, no, you need to use the Force. You don't need those, like, things to show you where the light, or, like, where the blast is coming from. You have to use the Force to figure it out. And Saja Maya's like, that's a great idea.
Thanks, Yoda. Thanks, disembodied Yoda voice.
Yeah. It was cheesy, but it was also really cool, and I wasn't expecting it, so I was like, what the fuck's happening? Okay, but then this next part is like, I just can't believe that this happened. It was amazing. So she goes, yeah, we're going to do that. And she like runs over to the thing and she like flips a switch and like the lasers go off. And she's like, all right, everybody give me your lightsabers. And so I go to hand her mine because I think I was like up at the front. And she's like, except for you, Savannah. And I'm like, what? And she's like, everybody gather around Savannah. So like everybody gathers behind me. And she's like, you are going to be the one to do this. And I was like, oh my God.
Whoa.
And she's like, and I'm like, what am I going to, how am I going to use the Force to do this?
How many people are there?
Like 20 people.
So you're the best of 20.
Maybe it's because you had the ring. Maybe she already liked you enough because of that. And she was like,
I don't know. Well, I'd never talked to her before that. This person.
I'm
at
going to
least.
guess you were probably the best at it.
Probably.
Yeah.
And also probably looked the most invested in it. I'm sure she was probably looking for the
yeah,
person who got the
yeah.
most excited about it. And I
It
was...
was all the tears you were crying as you were doing it.
I wasn't crying yet.
You dropped to your knees when Yoda started talking.
No. I'm a nerd, but come on now, Rob. Anyway, so she's like, like, and she had us turn our lightsaber off and she taught us to like stand and she's like, ready position. So like, I ready position and she's like, turn on your lightsaber, and I turn it on and I felt like the baddest bitch in the entire world. And like all these people are watching me do this, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. And then I'm looking at the dartboard, at the thing, and she's like, okay, it's starting. And how they do it is that you see sparkles appear where you should put your lightsaber. And so I saw the sparkles, and so I did it, and then like, and it went really fast, and I didn't miss a single fucking bolt. And I was like, and everybody was cheering for me, and the dude next to me like gave me a high five. And then Sasha Maya was like, Savannah, did you know that you were Force sensitive? And I was like, I'd always hoped. It was so much fun. And then everybody got a turn to do it with the Force. But I was special.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So nobody got left out. I just got to be special.
The first one.
special treatment,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, that was crazy. Like, it was so much fun.
It sounds pretty intense.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Wait till I tell you about what happened to me the next day.
We're still on day one.
Day one.
At some point while chasing down the next mission or task, likely while recruiting for the heist, Stephanie F., my girlfriend, stopped me and said, "You realize we've only been aboard like 12 hours. It completely blew my mind. Between all the activity, the interactions, the missions, I could have sworn we had already been there a week." Ken H.
After that was dinner. And dinner, Gaia was performing. There's like a big center of the dining room where like tables are flat. Like floor level, and then it goes up like a smidge. What would that, like a platform, and then there's like along the wall a bunch of booths and stuff like that. So me and my grandma were in the front booth up on the platform, and we had a really good view. And I remember being like, I don't know if I really want to. I was gonna do it anyway but I was like, this is probably gonna be the cheesiest part. That lady was such a good singer, and she's singing in a fucking gibberish language. Like it was amazing, and she's like dancing and shit, and she's like getting us to do call and responses. It was really cool. It was fun, and there were story elements that were happening then too. And then all of the food, they make it look very weird and Star Wars-y. Yeah. They like the steak is like bantha meat or whatever and stuff like that. Right. Like it was cute. And it was delicious. I'm a picky eater. That food was delicious, and I ate most of it. So then like Gaia's like, okay, everybody, I need everybody to stand up. So like I stand up. Of course, I'm going to do what the actors tell me to do, because it sucks when
you're paying to be.
Exactly, and it sucks when you're doing an immersive thing and the audience doesn't want to do it with you.
Yeah, the party
This is the
poopers.
truth.
Yes. So I get up, and then Sasha Maya comes up right next to me, and she's like, Savannah, something's going on. I'm like, what's happening? And she's like, look over there. And I see the mechanic Sammy with Chewbacca. And I'm like, how did Chewbacca get on this ship?
How did Chewbacca get here?
Where is disembodied Yoda?
And like he's Gaia had everybody stand up because Lieutenant Croy came into the restaurant, which was also kind of cute because every time Lieutenant Croy and I saw each other from then on, when I became friends with him, we'd stop and we'd see each other, we'd smile and wave, and then he'd go back to like being all serious and mean looking. It was so cute. So when he came into the door right next to me, and I saw him, and I was like, hi, and he was like, hi, and then he was like, oh no, I'm evil. So he's like watching Gaia because he's in love with her or whatever. Chewie's like sneaking around in the back and stuff like that, and Gaia's trying to get the audience to like block him and like keep Croy distracted. And then all of a sudden the captain comes in and is like, there's the rebel that you're looking for.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. And everybody in the audience is like, no. Oh my God. The stormtroopers take him away. I don't know where they took him, but they took him away.
To the brig.
I guess they did take him to the brig, but I never went there, so I don't know. So then, like, I'm sitting there like, holy shit, is the captain really not part of the, like, resistance? And then our waiter comes over to me and, like, shoves something in my hand really quickly and is like, this is from the captain, and, like, runs away. And I was like, what the hell? So I unwrap it, and it's a piece of paper. It's a note, and it says 3 of 3, and then it has, like, the end of a message on it. And I'm like, okay, where do I find the other bits? And I hear other people at other tables talking, and I go over to them, and I'm like, hey, what number are you looking for? And they're like, 3. And I'm like, oh, okay. And, like, we combine our notes with a couple of other people, and finally the note is like, the captain has this plan, trust her, we're trying to get Croy off our tail, like, we're gonna help get Chewbacca out or whatever. And she's like, meet us in the lobby at 10. And it was almost 10 at that point, so we go into the lobby and a big show happens where they capture SK, which was sad, especially because I'm pretty sure earlier in the day I ran into Lincoln Mock and she was like, Savannah, you need to protect him. And I was like, okay. And then he got captured and I was like, I didn't protect him. Yeah, so, and then Croy like makes a big show out of that, and somehow they managed to get Chewbacca off the ship. I was not involved in any of that. I don't know what happened, but they somehow managed to get him off the ship, and Croy was pissed. So at the end of the night, Croy is pissed. He's sure that there is resistance activity happening. The captain looks innocent, and they're trying to get all of this data out of the droid so he can prove that there's like resistance activity. So the droid is like, has like it's like a little circle that you put on a droid, and it makes it so it can't really do anything anymore. Anyway.
Like some sort of like inhibitor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then you go to bed. Or you don't have to, but I was exhausted. I had a long day. In a good way. And the next day we were going to Batu. So then, like, when I get in the bed, I get a million messages from everyone, and they're like, Savannah, you need to do this for me on Batu tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, sounds good.
Is it all the same from each character?
No, it's not. It's, so I got a message from the Saja, who they were like, are you okay? Like, I know the First Order, like, attacking, or, like, that was a lot. Like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm nervous about the First Order. And she's like, we can figure this out. And then Croy was like, you need to get some sleep because I need you bright and early tomorrow because you are doing this mission for me. And I was like, okay.
Thank you, Croy.
Yeah. And those were and then, like, Wraith messaged me about something, but I hadn't talked to him. So I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, Wraith, because I'm too afraid to talk to you.
Because you're too goddamn handsome.
Yeah. Why are you so obsessed with me?
I saw Return of the Jedi at 7 years old in the theater and waited 40 years to live my Star Wars dream. I actually fought for the rebellion, shot at TIE fighters from the bridge of a ship in freaking space. How many people can say that? How many can say Master Yoda came to them as a space ghost? For the few of us who were lucky enough to experience the Halcyon, it's something we will never be able to explain successfully, and at the same time we're all bonded by this experience. The entire time from start to finish was incredible and insanely immersive. The actors and crew were so amazing. It's really not something I can put into words. It's something that needs to be experienced. I'm so grateful I will get to go again and say goodbye to Lady H and the cast and crew. I'll be a hot mess. Look for the girl with the blue hair bawling. Laura F.
We wake up, we go to breakfast, and they had a fucking Star Wars waffles, and it was amazing. Ooh. It was a waffle, but it had the symbol of the Halcyon on it, and it was delicious, and I ate so many of them. I loved it. I was so happy. So then you go down this hallway, So like by the climate simulator, there's like a docking bay where you go to get on the pod that takes you to Batu, Galaxy's Edge. It kind of looks like an airport terminal thing, like when you go onto a plane. That's what those like long hallways, that's what it looks like. And you walk onto this thing that has no windows or anything, but it's decked out. It looks like a pod, and it's like all Star Warsy and stuff like that. And it's playing like the sounds of Batu and like a radio, like radio music and stuff like that. And it's a very short drive, like not even 2 minutes long. And it takes you to a special entrance where you get to walk into the park from the Star Wars part of the park. So like it really fully immerses you. Like you feel like you're on a different planet because you've never seen the normal outside world in a long time. And they give you these pins so everyone in the park knows that you are like on the Halcyon and stuff like that. And like mainly so the cast members know, so they can treat you a little bit more special because you're paying a lot of money to be there. Yeah. And so when I get there, I start getting messages from Croy, and he's like, I need you to do this for me. And I'm like, okay. So me and my grandma's mother start running around doing these missions for him. We had a reservation to go to the Star Wars bar that's there. So there's a bar called Oga's Cantina. And that's like a special thing. And my grandmother really wanted to go there. I'm making my grandmother sound like an alcoholic. She's not.
I know that to be true.
Yeah, she just likes having fun when we're on vacations. And
vacation is a different time.
Yes, and she loves martinis. That's like her thing.
And they had a nice sparkly one.
Yeah, exactly. So we go to the bar, and the bar's super cool, but it was really cool. When I got to the bar, Croy was like, tell the bartender this. And I was like, okay. Ooh. So I say it to the bartender, and he gives me a fancy coaster that has like a QR code on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so like I have to scan the QR code, and it gives me access to like where I can find these like secret rebel plans. Ooh. And I was like, whoa. Yeah. I was like, this is so cool. And then I was like, wait a second. I am breaching double agent and just straight up being a bad guy. At this point, I haven't done anything for the Resistance. Nobody asked me to do anything except for Croy, and I'm like, I'm just not a good guy. I'm a bad guy.
When in Rome.
So I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give him these plans. So I was like, what do I do? So we went over and we rode the Rise of the Resistance ride, which is, God damn it, the coolest thing ever. So that happens, and then you get to ride the Millennium Falcon ride, which is like you literally like go onto the Millennium Falcon, you get to fly it, and you have to steal this special Star Wars thing called coaxium for Hondo. But Wraith made a deal with Hondo to get some of the coaxium, so we gather some coaxium and Hondo gives it to Wraith or whatever. At that point, I booked like the special, like you could get like a special photo session or whatever on the Halcyon. So I did that, and that time was coming up. So we were going to leave. And as we were waiting for the shuttle to come back, I heard the YouTubers say that like if you have any problems with the app, like go talk to this person. Somebody is there on Batu to like help you figure out problems with the app. And I was like, I never got any missions from anybody else. Like, let me go see if like they can help me with that. And I tell her like, yeah, like I don't want to be a bad guy, but I'm only getting messages from the bad guy. And she's like, what's your name? And I'm Savannah. And she's like, okay. All right, you should be good now. And like I look at my phone and I have messages from now everyone. And,
oh my gosh.
And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Woo. So I guess I cheated a little bit.
Yeah.
But
you complained to the manager.
I didn't complain. I was just saying. I was like, if not, it's cool. But like, I don't want to be a bad guy.
I would have probably seen that shit through, seen what happened.
Yeah, well, and that's funny too, because on my way back to the ship, I met this guy. His name was Steven. He was very nice. I really liked him. And he was like, hey, are you getting missions from like any of the other characters? Like, I'm only getting missions from Croy. And I'm like, I'm only getting missions from Croy. And he's like, I don't want to be a bad guy. And I'm like, I know. I just talked to that lady and she gave me a way for me to not be a bad guy anymore. And he's like, no, I'm not going to go back to the to the park after I go to the ship. I guess I'll just like try and tell Croy to fuck off or whatever. He didn't say that exactly, but like we like bonded a little bit, and that was fun. So I go and get my pictures taken, and then I run back to the park and do all the missions for them. And the missions were really cool for them. Like Sammy the mechanic wants you to install an autopilot on this like fancy TIE fighter thing that's there so he can steal it. The Saja was my favorite though. They got word that there's like a special Jedi artifact there, and you need to steal it from the guy who's trying to sell it, because there's like a special like antiquities shop there. Doc Ondar's, he's trying to sell something special, and the Saja are like, you need to get that for us. So I figure it out, like hack some things, and I tell them where it is, and they get it. So then we go back to the ship, and Lankamok the night before was like, you need to be in the lobby at 3:00 tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I will be there. So I show up, and I see my friend Steven. I'm like, hey, Steven, like, do you know about this thing? Like, Lankamok said something's going to happen here. And he's like, what? Something's going to happen? I'm like, yeah, come on. Like, we need to stick together. And so, like, Lenka comes up to us, and she's like, you two are in with Croy, right? And we're like, yeah. And she's like, I need you to get to Croy, and I need you to tell him that his stormtroopers have been locked up in the brig. And we're like, okay. And she's like, yeah, so like, I'll give you the signal, okay? So like, don't do it yet. We're going to get people to lure his stormtroopers into the brig, and we're going to lock them in the brig, and then you're going to help him break them out. And that's when we're going to free the droid while he's trying to get his stormtroopers out. She does the signal, and I see people like be like, oh, you got to come do this thing, stormtroopers. And the stormtroopers follow them downstairs. So like, they get the whole ship involved. And there's these kids playing with their droids there, like little remote control droids that you could like play with. They had like droid racing on the ship if you didn't want to go to the park or whatever. And Croy was up top talking to somebody, and so me and Steven are down below going, Croy, come here, Croy. And he comes downstairs, and he's like, what's wrong? And we're like, they took your stormtroopers, they locked him in the brig. And he's like, what? We need to take care of this. And so he's like, come with me, you two. And so we like walk with Croy to go get his stormtroopers. And then how you unlock somebody from the brig is like, you have to hack this machine, get the code from it, and then very quickly before the code expires, run and type it into the brig. So he's having some kid do this, and they keep messing up, and then Steven tries to do it, and he messes up, and Croy is like, this is ridiculous, we need to get my stormtroopers out. We eventually do, and he brings me, Steven, the two stormtroopers, and then a couple of other people follow into the elevator. So I'm like smushed like this, like as tight as possible, into the elevator with stormtroopers and Lieutenant Croy, and this girl who's dressed like an Ewok, and Croy is like, get the fuck out of here, bear. But yeah, and then we're all stuck in this elevator together, and I actually have a picture of me like squished in the corner with the stormtroopers in the elevator. I just thought it was so funny. And then when we walk out of the elevator, Croy like sends everybody out first. He's like, everybody get out of the way. And so like we all walk out, and then as soon as the stormtroopers and Croy walk out, all the little kids take their droids and drive them into their feet. It was so cute because the kids, like, once they drove it in once, they kept backing it up and doing it again. It was so cute. They got the whole ship involved, and Croy is like, God damn it, and he's like kicking some of them out of the way, and then he like looks up and he's like, where'd the droid go? and so he's like, stormtroopers, find the droid. And then like that was the end of that sequence and stuff like that. And then everybody was meant to be back on the ship at 4, so that was so much fun.
But it's arranged in like a group of 7 or ish, like these different missions. The crowd control is amazing. How they could arrange. So it's just you and another guy are involved in his particular mission.
There were a lot of people. Oh, I forgot about that.
You're the only ones with the thing to do for the lieutenant.
I'm sure there were other people, but they just weren't there when that happened. That wasn't like a scheduled event. It was scheduled for them, obviously.
I see.
But and Lenka, because I talked to her and I was like, hey, I didn't get to do any like rebel things for you today, and she's like, be here at 3 tomorrow and you will. And I was like, okay.
I see. So other people were doing.
They were either in the park, or they were doing their lightsaber training, or they were doing their bridge training, or they were just wandering around.
So this is the way we cut the crowd down. So they probably do this scene multiple times?
I don't think that they do.
Oh.
But
you just have to be right place, right time.
Yes, but they do other scenes.
Yeah, okay.
That are also important, because I know I miss things. Like, how the fuck did Chewbacca get on the ship? I have no idea.
Right.
So I guess that's one of the takeaways, that everyone truly gets a different experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was another thing that was so funny. So on top of that, like the whole ship being involved, I forgot about this. When we're going down the stairs with Croy, Lenka Mock set up a line of people to block Croy from going anywhere else except for downstairs. And she was like, when they walk by, cough to let the people know downstairs that they're coming. So we're like walking down the stairs and all these people are going, like Which, okay, was a little bad, like, with the, pandemic and shit. But it was funny because
Pretty
Croy is
funny.
like, this is disgusting. Like, get away from me, you behemoths, and stuff like that. And it was so funny.
That actor has got a fun part.
Oh, he's got such a good part. That's
Yeah.
probably the best part. Although I think the captain ended up being my favorite character. But she's got some really cool monologues that she does. And the actress who played her voice was just so commanding and amazing. Oh, my God, I loved her so much. Oh, another embarrassing story, I have to say really fast. So me and my grandmother, after all that, go and get lunch. Or, like, we're eating, and sometimes the characters will just, like, walk into the dining room and, like, talk to you. So, like, I see the main Saja. There's, like, one main Saja, and then there's, like, a bunch of little Saja. And the main Saja comes up to me, and she, like, sees me, and she's like, oh, hey, Savannah. And I don't even remember when I met her, but she knew my name. And and she's like, oh, like, did you do anything fun on Batu? And I was like, yeah, I got the coaxium. And she's like, oh, you got the coaxium? That's so good. She's like, did you tell Wraith about it? And I'm like, oh, no, I didn't. It's okay. And she's like, no, he's right over there. I'll go get him for you. And I was like,
No, it's your worst nightmare.
I was like, oh, no, it's okay. It's all right. He's probably busy. And she's like, no, I'll go get him. I'll go get him. I think they must have known. Like, they were fucking with me. And I forgot to say this the night before. My grandmother was pretty lit at dinner the night before. And Wraith Cole walks into the room, and my grandmother gets very loud when she gets very excited. And she goes, oh, my God, he is just so handsome. And I was like, I put my head on the table. I was so embarrassed. So that was the night before. So, like, she leaves, and she was gone for a little bit. So I'm like, maybe she forgot. But no, he comes over, and I see them walking towards me, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, oh, sorry, I hit my mic. I get so excited. I literally look at my grandmother, and I'm like, please don't say anything. And he comes over, and he, like, talks to me, and he, like, kneels down to my level because I'm, like, sitting in the booth, and he, like, puts his hand on my shoulder, and I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like, please stop talking to me. And, like,
I want to get off this ride.
I didn't sign up for this. But yeah, he was like, yeah, you need to be in the lobby at this point because, like, I know it says, like, Gaia's, like, acoustic session or whatever, but we're going to sneak the coaxium off the ship then. And, like, I need you there to help, like, block shit or whatever. And I was like, I'll be there. Then it was my bridge training.
It meant immersing myself and my family into a world of creativity and togetherness. We could be whom we choose. We could be accepted no matter what path we chose. It meant meeting new people and making lasting relationships, interacting with people with whom we'd never have the chance. It meant experiencing something so special that was life-changing. It meant memories. Galen F.
All right, so the rest of the night goes by like it's like a video game speed run. Because I ended up doing everybody's missions, everybody needed me for something. So, like, the second I was done with something, I had to go do something else. And it was kind of amazing. Except for the next part. Except for that next bit. And then after that, I was like that. But, so, because I became friends with Steven, and Steven was, like, super cool. I told him about the Lankamak thing, and so, like, I run into him later that day, and he's like, oh, Savannah, are you coming to the mission with the captain, or, like, the secret meeting with the captain? And I'm like, no, I don't know about that. And he's like, come on, I'll get you into it. So he, like, brings me over to this thing, and he's like, hey, can we, like, bring my friend in with this? And she's like, what's your name? Or, like, there's, like, a cast member at the door, like, making sure nobody who doesn't have a reservation comes in. And she's like, what's your name? And I tell her, and she's like, oh, we just lost your invitation. Here you go. And, like, lets me into this experience. And so we go in, and, like, we're sitting in the bridge, and, like, everything's cool. And then the doors close, and the captain comes in, and she's like, okay, like, we got a return signal from a member of the Resistance who's going to help us. And one of my goals for this trip was, well, to, one, do the Resistance story missions, and to meet Rey, because I love Rey. And she's the person that is on the call. Like, she shows up on the hologram call and is like, I need your guys. I'm coming from Batu. I need you guys to help me clear out the TIE fighter so I can get onto the ship. And I'm freaking out. And I'm like, this is so cool. And I keep turning to Steven, and I'm like, thank you so much for bringing me in here. And, like, we shoot down the TIE fighter so she can get onto the ship. And I was so excited. And then, like, she docks. And then I'm thinking, like, oh my God, she's on the ship. Like, I have to go find her. And so I go to leave, and, like, as the captain told us, like, we were free to go or whatever. And as I go to leave, the captain stops and she's like, not you. You need to stay here. And I was like, okay. And so like the couple people are talking to her and she talks to them. And then once every other person leaves the room, it's just her and I in the room. She goes, you and I are going to go get Ray. And I was like,
oh my God.
And she's like, okay, just act like I'm giving you a tour of the ship, okay? So like, so she starts leading me through the ship and she's like, yes, this banner is this old and blah, blah, blah. And she like leads me downstairs. And then we run into my Saja Maya, and she's like, Savannah, Captain, what are you doing? And she's like, Savannah's feeling sick. She needs some rays of sunshine. Take her to the climate simulator. And Saja Maya's like, okay. Or like, well, acting and stuff. And so like the captain leaves. I go with Saja Maya, and like at this point, the actors doing anything draws a crowd, so people started following me and the captain, and then they follow me and the Saja into the climate simulator. And she's like, what's up? And I'm like, Ray is here. And she's like, Ray? Like, I'm like, Ray, like the Ray. And she's like, the Ray? Like, and I'm like, she's in that room right there, like behind like the wall. And she's like, okay, I'm going to go see, like, you guys stay here. And I'm like on cloud 9, like giddy, like I'm like, I cannot believe that this is happening. She comes back and she's like, okay, like you guys can come in. So I like zip in and I'm the first person there, and it's like basically just me and Saja Maya in that like airport looking room. And I turn the corner and I see Ray, and she's very like sneakily like has her head around the corner, and when she sees me she goes like jumps back, and Saja Maya comes around the corner and she's like, no, Ray, it's okay, this is my friend Savannah, she helped you get onto the ship. And then Ray comes around the corner and she's like, oh, Savannah, like you helped me, thank you so much, and like gives me like a handshake and stuff.
Wow.
And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. It was so cute. And she's like, are you a member of the Resistance? Like, how long have you been fighting? And I'm like, long time. I don't know. I was like, it was just so cool. And then we have this like whole chat with her about like her plans and like what we need to do and blah, blah, blah. And then I got sent by Ray to Sammy, who I had to go tell Sammy that he needed to like do something for Ray. And like but Sammy was in the middle of something. So he's like, help me with this first. And then afterwards he was like, okay, what did you need? And I was like, hey, Ray wanted to see you. And he's like, Ray, like the Ray? She wanted to see me? And he's like, all like, oh my gosh, she wants to talk to me? Yeah. And then just like, oh my God, it was just crazy. And then it was time to go to dinner. Yeah. And then the captain and Croy got into a huge fight at dinner, and that was super cool. And for a minute there, it felt like Croy might become a good guy. And I was like, I'm totally down for that because I really like Croy. So then, as soon as dinner's over, like sirens go off and all the lights in the ship turn red, and they're like, everybody needs to get to the lobby right now. Everything like culminates and shit goes down. So basically like Kylo Ren shows up.
Oh shit.
Yes, exactly. And he's like, Rey is here. I know she's here. And like, because at the end of The Last Jedi, he like is obsessed with finding her again. So he's like, Rey is here. Like, I need to find her. And Croy is like, he's so stupid. He didn't have any idea that Rey was on the ship. So he's like, what are you talking about? And then Rey shows up and they have this fucking huge lightsaber fight on the balcony. And Rey has this super cool fancy new lightsaber where like it is just a hilt, but then it actually launches up like a real lightsaber. So it looks like a real lightsaber. And then she pretends to fall down and she changes out to one where she could actually like hit things with it, kind of thing. But it's super cool. And then Kylo Ren like force broke the chandelier like Phantom of the Opera, and it fell down a little bit, and like shit was smoke and sparks were flying. Like Kylo Ren dragged his lightsaber across the bar of like the balcony, and it started sparking, and I'm like, what is going on? It was so cool. And Rey gets away, and she like flies his TIE fighter away. So he's like, I need to go chase after her. And Croy's like, sure, sir, what should we do with all the Resistance people here? And Kylo Ren goes, kill them all. and like kill everyone. And Croy's like, oh, but sir, some of these people are supporters. And he goes, I won't say it again. Kill them all. or whatever. And leaves. And Croy like sits there for a minute. And I was standing right next to Croy, remembering like we had a thing where we would like smile at each other. He would not look at me. And like all the lights turn red. All of the character actors are screaming. And Croy goes, all right, you heard the man, kill everyone. And like everybody's like, the captain's freaking out, and she's like, no, stop, please don't do this. And like Croy is like refusing to make eye contact with me. I'm literally standing right next to him, and I'm like, Croy, like you can't do this. And then you find out that like Sammy knocked out one of his stormtroopers, and he's wearing the stormtrooper outfit, and then he like holds or is like, Croy, you're not going to kill anybody today. And
You're
then
under arrest.
Yeah, and they throw them out of the like airlock or something. I don't know what
Or you just cast them into space.
or maybe they let him leave. I don't remember. But either way, he left, and you didn't get a chance to like say
He
goodbye
walks
to him.
down to the Space Wars Hotel here on the Chesapeake Bay.
And but that moment was really scary. Like I knew I wasn't in danger, but it was really intense. Like the character actors really were like, shit, I might die here. Like it was super cool though. And then the Saja, when you did their lightsaber training, they had like a phrase called "Together as One." So it was like a call and response where they would say together and then everybody else would say as one. So like when Kylo Ren showed up, the Saja were like, no, fuck you, like together, and the whole crowd is going as one, and it was like super cute and stuff. And then they, of course, in a Disney fashion, they have fireworks to celebrate the ending, and you have like a special little drink or whatever, and then it's time for bed, and then you leave the next morning at like 10 o'clock. And sorry.
If you're still listening, sorry.
It was amazing. It was the best thing ever. And I'm honestly devastated that it is closing. It doesn't deserve to be closing, but it definitely wasn't making Disney enough money, and the price point was keeping people boxed out. It makes sense that it is closing. However, and I was looking into it, and supposedly Disney's going to get a pretty hefty tax write-off on this. And I was talking to my grandfather, who, I was reading, and apparently what, property depreciates or whatever. So, does anyone know what that means?
Yes, that means that when you buy a piece of, you buy a car, for example, and your car is worth $25,000 when you purchase it, but the next year it's not worth $25,000 anymore. So you are taking a loss on that car because it depreciates in value over time.
Okay, yes. And so buildings, that happens over a 39-year period. However, if you decide that the building is completely a loss for you, you can write off the whole building and depreciate it all at once. Yeah. We don't know this for a fact, so I don't want to speculate too much, but people are speculating that Disney is going to get a $300 million tax write-off for this hotel, and that math adds up to them depreciating the hotel all at once. So if they depreciate it all at once, they essentially have to knock it down.
Wow.
They can't use it for anything.
Right, that's true. Yeah, from a government standpoint, otherwise you're it's tax fraud.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to get knocked down. I think it's going to get knocked down.
It
which
is sort of
devastating.
Insane. I mean, when everything you've described requires remarkable,
effort.
Even the actors aside, the incredible planning for these things.
My God. Yes. And the
I
YouTuber
can't
that I
imagine.
watched, he was saying too that that at one point he was just walking around the ship by himself, and he happened to walk in on the captain and Croy having a conversation by themselves. So it's like they try their hardest to make the ship feel alive. So Croy and the captain were just in a hallway fighting with each other, and if you happen to be walking by, you happen to be walking by and seeing that. The ship was alive. It was real. And I mean, it felt so real, and you really could allow yourself to let go and feel like you were actually in outer space. It felt like you were on a ship and not in a concrete building on Earth. It was amazing.
It's an inspiring undertaking, that's for sure.
And that's what's so depressing for me about it closing, is that this is the next step in immersive entertainment. It's LARPing, but with a Disney budget. That is the coolest thing ever. And because it failed so spectacularly, Disney will never do something like this again.
Yeah, I don't know if I disagree. I mean, I just as you were talking, I had ideas how they could have worked this differently. There's a world where that whole thing you described is part of a 7-day vacation, and just 2 days are that, and your hotel stay is $200 a night the other nights. If you add it up, you could almost pitch me on $5,000 or $6,000, right? If it's $1,000 to stay the other 5 days, you could pitch me on $6,000 for a 7-day vacation. Two of those days are this, and the other 5 days, I don't know why nobody thought of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. It's like Disney logic. Like, they've created this space, and the space can only be used in this way, and maybe that's true. But if you pitch the vacation as, we'll then take you to space number 2, you know, like you go back and forth. There could have been smarter marketing or planning around that. I get that the 2 days are pricey, but they wouldn't feel this pricey if you got more time
Yes,
out
I
of
agree
your
with
trip.
that.
You don't need
Yeah.
to have the full cruise experience the whole time. You
No.
just get it those 2 days. But the other days, you're at the park
Yeah.
at a cheaper price point. I don't know. It
Yeah.
just feels like more bang for your buck. But
No, I totally
Yeah,
agree with that.
that's-
And like, because I was saving the end of the episode to speculate, but when I was writing it last night, I was like, I can't, because like, I think it's going to get knocked down.
your grandfather thinks that that's likely what they're going to do is,
Yes.
is just knock
Yeah,
it
my
down. And they're
grandfather's
known
an
to do those
accountant.
kinds of things.
Mhm. And that's, oh my God. All that super cool technology and shit, like they
Yeah.
built that shit in there, like, and
Yeah.
they're gonna knock it down. And I don't know that for a fact.
Well,
they
they
might
can
not.
they
They might
can
not.
rip it all out before they're going to rip out all
Oh,
that stuff
yeah,
and-
but
and
still,
then
it's-
knock it down.
Probably going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, they've spent 6 years building this thing, and now it didn't even get to stay open for 2 years.
I suspect that a lot of what they learned they'll incorporate into rides and things,
I hope so.
maybe in a small way into hotel stays.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Obviously, I had a fantastic time. And every other person that I've seen who went there also agrees. And like, I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups about it, and everybody just loves this thing so much. And I got a bunch of people to write in and tell me like what the Halcyon means to them. And so I will have that playing for us at the end of the episode. So just wanted to put that out there. Like, if you're a cast member listening or anything like that, thank you so much. This experience was seriously like the most magical thing ever. Like, Disney will never be able to top this thing for me, I think. And it will become a really, really cool future Defunctland episode, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Expedition Extinct.
Yep, and thank you, Imagineers, for branching out and making such a cool thing. And honestly, thank you, Disney, for putting your money into it. I guess I'm sorry you lost money, but I'm not really. Like, you
It's a
did
bold
something cool.
experiment,
It
that's
was
for
a
sure.
bold experiment. And apparently, too, they got, like, all of the reviews that they got back for it were like, this thing is amazing. But nobody was buying tickets because nobody can fucking afford to go to it.
Yeah.
It's a whole issue. Like, if it was cheaper, they'd probably sell out of it constantly. You're right. Like, maybe if they made it $2,000, but then I don't know if they'd be operating at a loss. But if you sell every room for like $2,000, it's 100 rooms every 2 days.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of money. But I don't know.
Oh, it's a shame to think of.
It's, yep, seriously depressing. So anyone who's dancing on its grave, I just am like, it's just, you're dancing on the grave of Disney doing anything super out there and exciting again, because they're playing it exceptionally safe recently, and finally they do something that puts them out of their comfort zone and like what Walt Disney intended. Like, everybody laughed at the fact that he wanted to make Disneyland, and it ended up being amazing. And like, but it wasn't amazing at first too. Like, a lot of people didn't like Disneyland, but it grew into this thing that now it's like a staple of American families to go on vacation to Disneyland at least once in their life, or Disney World or whatever, either or. And yeah. And all these people are just like pointing and laughing at this thing. And then if you like it, you're an idiot. But
No, I think that's unfair.
yeah.
It's a bold no matter what, it was a bold experiment.
Oh, yes, for sure. And like I said, I like sat in bed that night and like I thought about everything that I did that day, and I just like started crying, and not in a bad way. Not that I was sad that I was leaving, although I was like, I just am so overwhelmed by like everything I did. Like, holy shit. And then the next day when we were leaving, we got breakfast first. And as we were leaving, Steven walked in, and I was like, Steven, like, thank you so much. Like, you made this experience so special for me. And he's like, you made this experience so special for me. And it was so sweet. And I was like, we're canon now. And he's like, we're canon now. And we like high-fived. I've never seen him again, but he was cool.
Hey,
I like
Steven.
you, Steven. Yeah, maybe you'll listen to this, Steven. You were super cool. And you're the reason I got to meet Ray. So
Yeah, that worked out.
that was so cool. Yes. So thank you for listening to my psychotic ramblings.
Yet again. Here on
Strange Ride.
I just wanted to say to everyone involved with the Star Cruiser, from the folks who imagineered her into existence to the amazing cast and crew, thank you. I have been lucky enough to experience the magic of the Star Cruiser twice. All of you involved built something really profound, and it has affected so many people. Not only did you give us a galaxy-class attraction, you helped to create a community of people, of old friends who just met, if I can quote the Muppets for a moment. Friendships have been created that will last long past the Halcyon, and those friends have given back to the community at large. And that was because of you, because of the magic you shared with us. Cynthia W.
Please watch your step as you exit, and remember to take all personal belongings with you.
You time warped.
Whoa. Oh, and now we're getting the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Well, who's wearing the fishnets in this?
Well, this is another thing that's really interesting about Star Wars is you would probably know this, like whenever there is like a Twilight character, which is like the characters that have like different colored skin and then they don't have hair, they have like those like weird long tentacle things, they're like always strippers.
Oh yeah, that's
This is
true.
Yeah. No, they stay the same throughout.
Funny.
It's like anytime you see
It's the stripper planet.
and it's called no, there's so much lore that I know. I'm getting sidetracked.
It's the red light district of the galaxy.
No, Reinhoff is more than that, but I don't know why they keep making all the Twilight strippers. Like they do though. Jabba the Hutt had like at least 2.
Yeah, that's
On a
true.
chain at all times.
I
Yeah.
know. Oh my gosh. So, how should I go about starting this?
The Star Wars Hotel is a glorious experience that you will never have.
And I'm the only one who got to experience, so fuck you. So I'm trying to think